And I think we got the picture, we got the music for the background, and well, I got the coffee with some milk, and well, we can start, I guess, talking about engineering. The video that I released, if any of you have seen. Other than that, of course, it's going to be basically both addressing critique as well as the changes and maybe questions that you may have about engineering in general. So, yeah, and why I chose that particular specific, system, I guess, to examine and talk about and basically bring attention, or public's attention rather, to it, and basically so on and so forth, talking about engineering and why it's important to change it. Right, so about engineering. So the first things first, I don't expect everyone to have seen the video that I created for it, so I suppose I could go into... Okay, where's this thing? I'm in Bunda, yes. Right, so I was actually filming the healing beams here. So I suppose we can actually get into a little bit of engineering and more outrageous broken portions about it. So essentially, there you go. Let's see. Right, and oh, might actually have someone join as well, so that's awesome. Right, so healing beams, right? So those that don't know, Elite Dangerous engineering basically allows, or rather gives you an option to upgrade your ships with different things, and one of such things, specifically for beam lasers, is healing beams. Essentially, the idea that by shooting your friendly within the wing, you would get, instead of damaged, but healed. Not the hull, of course. It only heals the shields, because those are regenerative and whatnot else, but it's okay. That idea, in general, is a really good co-op feature, right? I absolutely like the idea of the healing beams as a concept, right? In any game, you have both the damaging as well as healing things, and in Elite, there are very few things that do actually heal you. So it's almost non-regenerative health sort of game. I mean, of course, obviously we have right now shields were the original first regenerative things, and later on we got repair limpets, and then of course the AFMUs and so on and so forth for modules that repaired those. So yeah, but with engineering, of course, there came let's see, I have bounty on me? Can't be. I have a fine, because of course. Right, so yeah, essentially healing beams, right? Go pew pew. I'll probably do some pew pew in a bit, but yeah, KFG, I do have Twitch, as a matter of fact. Hello, Twitch and YouTube. Just search my name, you should be able to find me around. Anyways. So healing beams, essentially. So this particular upgrade is put on beams, of course. Any beam that's around can be upgraded with healing beams, or rather, regeneration sequence upgrade. Now, this particular upgrade, it doesn't describe what is the rate of healing, nor does it describe I think all the effects of it. It basically says that it just strikes hull and regenerates the shields. You don't know anything about it, so that's basically just amazing. It's great. It's great description, right? You basically know nothing about healing beams, but just it has space magic and it will heal the shields, right? The only other stat that is basically shown is let's see if I remember correctly, it was damage penalty, right? So because you have the healing beams on, you'll have the 10% damage penalty, right? So from the outset, not knowing how much the healing will be given, right, to your, you know, friendly or whatnot else, yeah, you know only one thing for certain: it's gonna reduce the damage. So yes, you can still use the healing beams as weapons, but with less damage. I mean, who would pick that without knowing what the positive is of it, right? But of course, as many have tested, indeed I've showcased in that video as well, that one small healing beam can out-heal. Actually, no. It wasn't out-healing, it was sustain equal damage from 6 unengineered beams. So one healing beam, grade 5 and grade 5 efficient healing beam, is the same as 6 beams, normal unengineered ones. And it's just absurd. I don't know about you, but I find that absolutely absurd levels of just OP-ness. Many OP-ness, yes. Anyways, Dalton, greetings. If you're around, probably not yet. Probably getting his microphone going and whatnot else. Right, but in the meantime, so yeah, just imagine this, right? You have massive, like usually people put healing beams on the what was it? Huge one. You know, biggest beam laser you can have, right? You put that stuff on, right? Oh, and Dunkel. Yes, I'll get that. I'll get to that comment. I'll try and remember it. Just give me a moment to finish the thought about the healing beams, right? So essentially the healing beams. So yeah, if you put it on the biggest beam laser you can, which usually everyone does, right? What do you think is the bonus you get? And looks like my Discord's not properly doing things. Uno momento. Yeah. So basically one huge healing beam, right, is able to out-heal most likely also 6 huge beams, yeah? And those things actually damage a lot, right? Imagine, just think about it. You just need to have, well... and you wonder why the fucking PvP is literally just monotone, and, well, oftentimes when you have actually somebody with healing beam and whatnot else going around, right? You just don't fight them in PvP at all. There's literally no way you can, you know, beat them at all. Just, that's it. Dutton, you around? Okay, I don't hear you, dude. Let's see. Yeah, I don't hear you. Is my audio borked? No. Okay, let me... Hold on. Technical issues. Just give me a moment. Right. Give me a moment. We still have audio on there, so it's all good. That is restarting Discord just in case, you know, making sure that everything works, because sometimes the settings on audio are just what they are. Here we go. Alright, looks like on my end I'm not hearing anything, which is weird. Hold on. Voice. Yeah, it... Oh my god, are you kidding me? Okay, uno momento. It's all good. For some reason, Discord just decided, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? There we go. Now I should hear you. Yep, I hear you. Yeah, so basically...
Okay.
Yep, it's great. It's great when Discord decides, oh, you plugged in an HDMI monitor? Guess what I'm gonna do? Set your audio devices completely random. Fuck you, TheYamiks! It's great! It's great! Love it! Anyways, right, so here we go. So at least I have some sort of counter argument person, probably, or somebody.
Counter? counter argument?
Yeah, probably you agree with me. I assume you do, at least in most parts.
I largely agree. There's only one thing I would miss if engineering was removed, and that is jump range.
Yes.
And only because that would make it impossible to go into certain areas of the galaxy. But if they removed engineering and maybe just upgraded the range of a regular class A FSD, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, the FSD engineering is probably the biggest one for everyone, because that doesn't affect PvP or PvE. Well, it kind of does to some degree everything. It does affect everything, but yeah, it's I mean, we already have the Guardian thingamajigs, which are also really nice as is. So yeah, it's kind of a hit and miss really at this point. Still. Oh yeah, right. We had Aura's question there. Right, so James, you wrote the comment that Elite is not a PvP game. What game? Right, why do I play solo? Right. So here's the thing. Elite Dangerous, like it or not, is a PvP game. Be you play in open, private, solo, whatever, it's still a PvP game. Because you see, well, maybe you don't care, but the systems that actually reside in Elite Dangerous are meant to be, you know, online, sort of centered, if you will. I'm currently referring to BGS and Power Play being the culprits of that particular thing, as well as the persistence and the fact. Well, BGS includes the factions, right? So that is partly what makes it PvP in some light way. I mean, it is very distant, but it's still player versus player when, you know, people are competing for, I don't know, some sort of a power within the system, right? The BGS, I absolutely hate BGS, but I recognize it as, you know, as a part of the game and what it is in general terms, right? So there's that difference that I have as a player. I hate it. I don't want to do it, nor will I do it. But you know, looking from more of wider perspective and just objective way, I try to. Right? It is basically an integral system in how it's you know, at least entertaining for a few folks, if not, you know, many. Right? So there is value in it indeed, or at least some people have put in a lot of value in it. The problem is, you see, that like it or not, yeah, we all do affect that BGS a little bit, and that does make it PvP. Now, of course, yes, Elite Dangerous and having open, solo, and private, that is an issue. That has been a long-standing issue. I've actually made videos, not just one, but multiple videos about this stuff as well, and how it is a half measure. So let me go on a little tangent here, but so open, solo, and private. So why do they exist in the first place, right? I've actually gone on, you know, asked and hey. Anonymous, I guess. Thanks for getting the merch. Haven't had one of those sales in a while, so hey, enjoy that. But yeah, so back at the solo and private, right? So I did ask actually developers when I was preparing one of the videos about solo, private, and open, right? What is the purpose, right? What is the purpose of having open, solo, and private? And Metronic, hey, thanks for the subscribe there on the Twitch side as well, right? Actually, might as well get the screen on, because that should illustrate the point there a little bit better, so if you're talking about that, right? So why are there these three modes of playing, right? And developer answer essentially was, it's your player choice. It's your player choice to play the way you want to play the game, and blaze your own trail. That was essentially their PR response back in the day, and to this day I think that would still stand. Developers claim that this is done to give you a choice to play the game that you wanted, but I think let's see, in the chats, yeah, Don actually touched on offline mode. Yeah, let's talk about offline mode. So back in the day, Elite Dangerous was in a what was it? Kickstarter, right? So, and back in those days, developers did say, or rather even promise, and that was the only really big promise that they broke, that Elite would go as an offline game. So originally they wanted to make it an offline game as well as the open sort of a PvP type of a game. Now, that was cute. That was cute that they actually even thought that that would be a possibility. See, the issue with Elite Dangerous is that obviously it is trying to replicate the universe, try to have a persistent galaxy, which is fine. If it is a persistent galaxy, so that makes it just easier to sort of create and sort of distribute to people and just let them play in it, right? You don't need to constantly, manage little things, but unfortunately they decided, well, we want a living universe rather than a static one, and thus came the BGS. In a way, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say whether or not it should be blamed on BGS or just the general idea that it has to be a living game, but in either case, the idea that developers wanted to have this, well, at this point it is a live service game, right? They wanted to make a live service game, and the best way to make it is to make it always online. And because we can't have always online with an offline mode, clearly, well, yeah, we have to axe the offline mode, and that's what I did. Back in the day, I did, yes.
I have a strong suspicion that although most of the game as we play it right now is depending on the online services, the core of it still would be perfectly fine to run offline. Now, this is going borderline violating the term of services. So in the term of services, there is this line that you must not reverse engineer the game, do not do data dumps and stuff like that. But we can speculate, and we can speculate by looking at the files that are installed on your file system. And if you look at it, so maybe for backup purposes, you have these large number of files, which file names consist only of hexadecimal numbers, like hashes. And without diving into the code, because that would violate the term of services, I was thinking, okay, what is the purpose of using these hashes? Do the files themselves have some structure? And during my backup, I noticed that the files themselves don't compress very well, which is indicative that they might be encrypted. So my suspicion, this is pure speculation, is that along with generating the systems procedurally, the procedural generation of each system is also used to generate a so-called hash, to look up into these files where to pull out things, and also to generate the decryption key. This is pure speculation. But if it really works that way, then you essentially have a full offline game with full offline data set, and the only thing that's online is the state of BGS and who discovered what.
Right. My personal sort of theory, if you will, because obviously developers will not reveal how they do things precisely oftentimes, be that because of the company secrets or whatnot else, but I have a feeling that essentially the reason why Elite can't go offline is that they wanted that replica of the Milky Way, right? And the only way they saw it possible was through help of servers, servers holding information about planets, where everything is, and basically pulling in information. Because I have considering that Elite takes up I think it was 38 gigabytes. I think it was 38 gigabytes of storage, right? I don't think it actually houses all the variations and all the details about every star system or every planet and where things are, because obviously that would get outrageously just
if it was stored somewhere.
Yeah, if it was
but
stored,
what I think
right?
is, if you are in the galaxy map, you can zoom through the galaxy map and traverse it at really high speed, so you do not have loading lag when you are moving through the galaxy map. So every star is appearing immediately. So I don't think that the information about the location of the star systems is loaded from servers out there, because
all
these
right. Well, let's examine then the galaxy map, right? Let's just galaxy map probably holds let's see, how many billions of points. Let's say it's billion points, right? And for those billion points, and whatnot else are billions of points, the star systems that are in Elite's galaxy, I'd say you need a position, color, and a few other variables, and you can calculate relatively how much space that information, that surface level information, would require. And once you have chosen, let's say, a planet system, a system, right? Right, so first things first, the reason why you don't see loading constantly, these points popping up and whatnot else, is assumedly they are stored on your client, right? Okay, if they are stored on your client, all they need to do is just be points, and that's it. And Fear the Darkness. Hey, I'm gonna read that in a bit. Thank you, but let me finish the point. So they are just there, right? And once you click, let's say, look at the system, right? Just look in the system. Let's see, where's my character? So once you click on one of those points, right? Then it asks for information from the server, about, see, this is the loading point. It asks for basic information about the system, and it loads it in, right? Of course, I have a suspicion that they also cache at least some of these things on your client as well. But realistically speaking, it shouldn't take, even if there are billions of points in the galaxy map, right? It shouldn't take that much space to store the basic point values, right? And of course, the further information obviously later is pulled from the server, I assume, again, right? Or only when you have visited it, of course, and if you haven't visited, well, you can't clearly see it, right? Pure and simple. Or whatever, right? There is that. I mean, you would probably have to investigate whether your file sizes increases the more you scroll through the galaxy map, and that would probably unveil whether or not it is caching something. But then again, it might not necessarily do that in the games folder, right? So that's another interesting thing. Still, right. I assume that because they couldn't make this galaxy, right, this massive sandbox in an offline game, right? I assume that was the probably main reason why they didn't go offline. They chose to axe the offline mode. Now, obviously, there was an uproar, big uproar back in the day when developers came out and said that no, sorry, we can't make Elite dangerous, which was honestly laughable that they wanted to put it as a, offline game. Honestly, you would never make Elite as a persistent galaxy with BGS especially. BGS might have been just basically addition after they realized that they can't make it an offline game, but I mean, if they planned BGS already, yeah, that would be probably another nail in the coffin of offline mode. So yeah, offline mode and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, if you're talking about the whole return to the previous statement that I had about Elite, right? Elite is a PvP game, even if you play in solo. Well, it is true, because again, BGS is that portion of it that kind of allows you to do the PvP, right? Or rather, is the portion of it. it's very distant, true, but it still affects, you know, you or someone else. You're allowed to affect someone else. So yeah, and all right, so returning to the next point, right, I did ask developers as to why there's, I mean, if it is a, you know, PvP game, why does it even have these 3 modes, right? Why does it even have those things? And after asking developers, as I said previously, they did say that it's basically to give you choice. To give you choice the way you play the game, and honestly, that's an excuse. Solo mode really is put in the game only to appease the people who asked for offline mode. It's to vaguely and sort of in a small way masquerade as an offline mode. Really, that's it. Because realistically speaking, you can do the same thing in private, right? So why have solo, right? And there's no technical. I mean, okay, if I can use basically what DJ once said, right? That people with, you know, shitty computers, what else, or just basically very old PCs barely can run Elite Dangerous and can only run them in solo mode, right? Once they go in private or open, that extra bandwidth or something is basically causing them to just not be able to play at all. My counter argument is that no, I'm sorry, but especially these days, but even it doesn't matter if it is today or not. Games, when you make a game, right, you have to set an expectation of what would be the limit of how far you can push the technology and how backwards compatible it should also be. Oftentimes, companies don't even give a fuck how backwards compatible they are. Elite kinda tried it, not necessarily, but solo mode is definitely not made for backwards compatibility with really old stuff, right? It's running DirectX 11 for God's sakes, right? And any goddamn fucking PC that can run DirectX 11 should have at least decent enough graphics card, right? Realistically speaking. So yeah, it's not to cater to the lowest of low spec machines. Really, it's not. It's there, in my opinion, of course, only to cater to that portion of the market that back in the day said that, oh, Elite Dangerous not gonna have open, offline mode. We're gonna stop pledging or something like that, right? So it was to appease that. And private group, honestly, that's kind of a in between, if you will. You would kind of understand that honestly, the private group is an interesting thing though as well, because you do have wings, you do have friend lists in the game. So private group is essentially, yeah, that offline mode, but to invite friends. And well, that's what it was born from. And right, I've said this multiple times and again and blah blah blah, but essentially open, private, and solo shouldn't exist. There should be only one, and that should be open play. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah, the thing is, even though I play in solo, right? I constantly play in solo because I'm a pragmatic player, pure and simple, right? As a player, I will always play solo, right? Unless there's an event. But as a, well, wannabe game designer, right? Somebody who would design the game and would look for a way to make the game more coherent and better for everyone, or rather more desired and less cumbersome for both the developers and the players to understand. Because this already is quite confusing. Say what you will, it is confusing when you first start playing, right? Simple. Sure, you need an explanation, but you shouldn't have an explanation just to start playing, right? That's the point, right? As a game designer, you would look for a way to simplify things and make it more easier to just start playing, right? That's pure and simple positive thing that you have to do with games. So the thing is, if I were to design, I would, first of all, open play is completely punishing. It's unfair to basically anyone that is not the top tier pilot, that is aggressive and, you know, ready to kill people. Literally, you're stacked, or rather your survivability is stacked against you in open, completely in all ways. Because the game, you see, that's the bigger issue of Elite Dangerous, because open play would be Sorry. Open play would be a proper game mode for everyone if the game itself would protect its players, like many other MMOs, RPGs do. You know, the starting town. You can think of, sure, yeah, the stations are the starting towns and they are, you know, protecting you, but you can still be, you know, killed in the starting town. And often games also have that you can be killed in the starting town, but that person who kills you gets so punished, you know, it's not worth it. Fair enough. But you see, thing is, once you leave that station, that's it. There are no more safe zones. The only place where you are truly invincible is on the landing pad. Also, oh my god, I think I spawned into another vehicle. Oh
What?
my
What?
god.
What?
Yep. I'm Pytasp. I'm Pytasp. There we go.
Somebody clip this.
Oh, that's great. I'm Pytasp. There we go. Oh, talking about broken. It's great. Love it.
This game has absolutely no flaws, and it
Hello, Mini.
No, not at all, right? So welcome, Mini, indeed. So how do you like my pie? Oh my god, there's a pie, look through my floor.
I love the glorious pink.
Is that an explorer or a scout?
That's
that's
hard to say, because I can't see its ass. Oh wait, no, hold on. There was a way to distinguish Asp Scout as well.
Oh god, that is so weird looking. The dude's like in the floor.
Hold on. That has to be Asp Scout.
Yeah,
that's an Asp Scout. Yeah, that's an Asp Scout because of this little
Wow.
fucking wing.
Hey,
that shit
Yamix,
gets from-
you just made the best ship in the game.
Just no.
How to piss off Yamik. Stick an Asp Scout inside his ship during a stream. I think FTF is trolling you, dude.
Oh, this is gonna be the stream's visuals for the next 2 hours. This is just so stupid. Yep. Anyways, so yeah, essentially about the open play and Demonic, hey, thanks for the subscribe there. But yeah, to finish off the open play and why it should be the only game mode for Elite Dangerous is segregation, right? So first things first, obviously we can't get everyone to play open play, you know, willingly, clearly. And that is done, well, thanks to just ganking, right? And the rampancy of the ganks, or the ease of ganking. Because, you see, there are no safe zones. There are no, even in high security zones, right? Yeah, or systems. It can just simply be pulled and killed immediately. And the guy doesn't even get, you know, penalized for doing that. If he does it quickly enough and the cops don't arrive. So that's the biggest issue of Elite Dangerous, that it is too liberating oftentimes, because that's really why many MMORPGs do have these starter towns. The why actually these games, you know, try to limit the interaction PvP wise between the players unless it's an event or a zone and so on and so forth, right? Because let's be honest, people are shitty. And they will do these things, be that willingly, intentionally or not. It's just gonna happen. And you, as a developer, have to make sure that players literally don't rape each other left and right. That's your task, to make sure that they don't do it too much, right? And Elite takes the approach of absolute hands-off approach. Completely. They don't care what happens. That's also option, not option, but that's often also about forums, but that's a different topic that I won't delve into. So yeah, it's just unfortunate reality that Elite faces, and because there is just no checks or balances or just anything really that comes down to open play, solo, and so on and so forth, you really have to have solo and private to limit, or rather to allow players to be protected in some way, right? And still be able to play when there is a griefer left and right. So basically, private group and solo is really only there for one reason. To protect you. Right? That's the shittiest. That is literally the most roundabout and laziest way to deal with the issue of ganking in Elite. And really, that's how or what it has become. And that's unfortunate because I would love to play in open constantly to see people around, right? And make the game actually be a bit more lively. But unfortunately, here we are. So, yeah.
It would also add to the whole designation of systems being high security, low security, medium security, or anarchy. I mean, right now it doesn't.
Yeah. They're absolutely meaningless. It's just, it's pretty sad, right? Oh, and I had the Fear of Darkness, right? You got a little tip there. Thank you. So thank you for the informative and fun videos. They made me start playing Elite again. Well, okay, it's fair enough. Hey, if my critique and so on and so forth brings you back into the fold of just, you know, grinding around or just, I don't know, just fucking around and having fun, fine. It's all good. You know, it's nice. You know, it's good. It's good. Anyways, right, so we'll return to the engineering essentially. So, Mini, since you are the new voice here, so what's up? Also, mic off.
I know, I got a hotkey for mute.
Ah, yes. So, your thoughts, engineering, if you watched the video, or critiques about the video, or maybe my points, or just generally something, I don't know.
I have one thing to say. And those of you that know me will know what I mean. Frontier doesn't do their numbers like I do.
They don't do their numbers like normal players would have to do in the first place.
My math makes sense. Theirs is like, yeah, no. What? Yeah, no, like the point you brought up about them basically going, okay, here's one thing, we'll modify that, and then just fuck everything else. Copy paste, exactly. Yeah, no, that's definitely across the board. Like, hey, do you want to have what was it, like a reinforced fuel scoop? What?
Sure, Mini, I would love some.
What for? What's the use of that?
Yeah.
So your fuel scoop doesn't take damage when you're scooping from a star. If you're overheating, you're doing something wrong.
It takes less damage, or rather, it has more HP.
How often have you lost a fuel scoop from overheating?
If I'm exploring, I got an FMU for that. That's a really good
question. When was the last time any person in the world, right, lost a fuel scoop while scooping out there in the black? I don't know a single person.
That's why I said, when I saw that upgrade, I was like,
sorry, yeah.
Yamiks, that's officially the most useless upgrade in Elite Dangerous.
You might be actually right. You might be right. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. Okay, yeah, it's to protect against heat, but how often do you actually lose such a module as a standard to overheating and whatnot else, right? You have bigger issues once you come to that already, right?
All right, no one get super angry at me because, you know, hashtag get good or whatever, but the first thing I noticed that dies when my ship starts overheating is my docking computer.
It has the lowest health. After that, the next lowest health or integrity, I think, had...
Cargo.
Yeah, cargo, or...
Cargo's generally the next one to go.
Cargo is one... chaff! Chaff is actually really a skin.
Oh, chaff and heat sinks? And when heat sinks malfunction, man, that's annoying.
Yeah. So basically, those are the small modules that malfunction first because clearly they just... everything basically takes, I think, equal amount of damage. It just depends on how much health each point has, right? Or rather, each internal module when you overheat, right? When you're being targeted, it's different.
Yeah, I would like to bring up a point that you did bring up, the one about like being able to customize exactly what stats are changed when you modify it, and then there's good and bad things to do it that way, so you can like fine tune it. It's engineering, that's what you're doing. So you can get a little bit extra power out of like a power plant or something, but it will either increase the mass or the heat or something else. But if you were able to choose which negative stats you wanted, then, you know, you'd be able to really fine tune all your stuff. But I just don't think that Frontier wanted to do something quite so detailed. Even if there's only, a couple predefined minor settings that you can adjust, you're like, all right, I want this here, 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 and here, and these are the options that are available. Here's the materials that you need. Give me that. Boom. Here's your module. Done. No more engineer upgrading. Just like, hey, here's how I want to modify it. Okay, here's your shopping list. Okay, here you go. Boom. Done. That's what engineering should be. I'm done, by the way.
Kraylog, yes. All right, Kraylog. Hey, thanks for the bits there. I love how everything in Elite makes sense. I mean, right. Actually, on that topic, right? Right. So, Mini actually was talking about the numbers and how Frontier doesn't, or rather, the developers, because again, Frontier is a big company that has multiple teams and whatnot. So I always go with developers, right? Developers, or rather the people who initially made calculations about especially the biggest gross fucking disgusting level of misuse of math, in my opinion, and I have a feeling our present German person here would be probably even more angry about this than I am. The shield boosters, right? The shield booster upgrade, essentially. Let me see if I can show you what I mean there. So shield boosters, essentially.
Hey, Yamiks.
Yes.
You know, it'd be an amazing change for shield boosters. Have it where you have two versions. One that only increases the resistances, and another one that increases the recharge rate. No shield bonus.
See, recharge rate is already... The thing is, overall shields as they are, the values are the biggest issue. But we can... Again, this is the fine-tuning that we are essentially starting to discuss before actually the biggest issue of shields are done with. And that is the gross levels. And just inept ways that they have engineered them. So yeah, let me show you, right? So shield booster, A-grade shield booster here, right? That one has a 73% boost, right, on this fucking thing. But by default, it has A-graded shield booster has the boost of all the
20%.
Oh,
your mic cut out, I think.
Lord, thanks. Really appreciate it, dude. Right. Right, yeah, so shield boosters. By default, right? By default, you have 20% boost. By default, you only have 20% boost on the normal A-graded shield booster. But with the engineering, you get up to 73%, right? Mm-hmm. That is almost 4 times as increasement, right? Pure and simple. Yep. Doesn't matter if it is percentage or not. But developers, let me find. Do I have remote workshop on it? Shield boosters. There we go. Essentially, the boost only shows. It's not a lot of boost. It's just percentage. It's just an increasement of 40%. It's not 100 or whatever you say, Yamiks. What math is this? No.
Well, I think they're saying that it's not a percent boost.
It's a flat. It's a literal flat increasement.
It's a
yes,
flat
but they don't
boost
present
to the
it
shield.
as such.
Yeah, no, it's
they
not a.
They present it as an improvement percentage-wise, not a flat increasement of a number.
So if that was a 65.6% bonus, then their multiplier would be 1.6 times 0.2,
right?
To get the proper number, not from 0.2 to 0.79.
Exactly.
Or 0.73.
Yeah, it reminds me of this anecdote by Richard Feynman. I don't know if people know it, an important physicist of the 20th century. And he was complaining about a series of really badly written school books where there is this text given where Timmy and his father are lying in the garden watching the stars, and they see a green, a blue, and a red star. And there's this table for the temperatures of the star depending on the color, and then the statement or the exercise is what's the total temperature of the stars. That doesn't make sense. You can't add temperatures. You can only maybe get an average temperature or the maximum or the minimum, but not a total temperature. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's...
Hello?
You know what is really confusing about Elite? Is one, we don't have terribly accurate statistics on, number one, how much energy our weapons are using per
don't
shot.
Get me started even on this.
And we have no way of accurately representing how much heat buildup we get per fire or anything like that, because it's just a number. It's like this much per second. Okay, well, where's my gauge that has all the numbers that actually tells me my total heat capacity on this particular ship, or, you know, all that stuff. Your dissipation
they're
rate,
telling
all
us
that.
A power capacity in watts. Why are they not telling us the heat output in watts?
I honestly don't care.
Because they make video games and they might not know the material terribly well.
Well, David Braben is a physicist.
Yeah, but like
I mean,
he's
if
not
it's
the
part
one
of
putting all the
immersion,
stuff in.
Fine, whatever. If you want to put some science values on it, sure. Honestly, I don't mind the fact that they have, instead of just like in No Man's Sky, units at which you speed around and whatnot else, the units per second or whatnot else, you actually have meters a second, which is actually really nice, right? I really like that sort of ability to, you know, translate my sort of math if I really want to do some stupid things like, you know, the boost of Cutter, as a matter of fact, generates, what was it, like 12 Gs, I think it was? You can calculate these, and it's funny. It's a video game, yes, but you can calculate these insane, stupid things and have a laugh. I like that. But when it actually comes to using those values and making sure that the values don't go crazy and whatnot else, i.e. engineering,
Yeah.
common sense out the window.
Yep.
So there you go.
Hello, we are Free Frontier Developments, and we do math only to a certain extent, and then we get bored.
Now, as I said in my video, right? That's British education, I guess. Especially when I talk about the whole what was it? The shield boosters. Obviously, it's a joke and whatnot else. God damn it! It's just, come on.
I guess it's just checklists, ticked boxes on. We have to implement something. Give an intern here, please throw in a formula for maybe shield booster or some other engineering. He comes up with some formula to add the stats or change the stats, and said, "Oh, job done. Check it, done."
The fucking checkbox development, essentially what we can call Elite Dangerous is engineering, half of it is checkbox, or rather just to make sure that everything has something in it, or rather it has copy-pasted templates in it. It's just there, you know, without care being put in. Case in point, the whole miscellaneous upgrades, right? Or experimentals like flow control and whatnot else, or lightweight. I mean, strip down, sorry.
Look,
It's
lightweight can be useful on the occasion.
Yes!
However, most of the upgrades are like, why is this a thing? Who thought this was a good idea? Can I speak to your manager? No, I'm not trying to be a Karen. You're that dumb.
No, that's the thing about some of the templated upgrades being useful, right? The strip down especially being very useful for explorers, right? And that's
for sure.
Fine.
I mean,
right?
I wouldn't
it's
have.
fine to have these alternatives and, you know, them being useful somewhere. But just because it is useful somewhere, just because it is positive, as I said in the video, doesn't mean that it's balanced accordingly. Because you see, flow control especially is a good example for basically every module that can have flow control. Every other experimental that can have either flow control or something else, most of the time you're gonna choose something else because that something else is, you know, infinitely better. And then you start to question, what does this module even need flow control? Like multi-cannons, right? Multi-cannons are already super efficient. You don't need flow control experimental on it to further increase its power draw from the reduce the power draw from the.
But the
Shit,
power
right?
distributor draw on 7 multi-cannons firing at the same time is more than one pip on weapons can handle. But if you add
We're
1.5,
talking about power
fine.
draw from the power plant. That's the flow control.
No, power distributor too. Anyway, I was trying to be funny. I failed. Please continue.
No, I think whatever. The flow controller. There was one other one. No, hold on. I need to look this up because just so much statistics that's just annoying. Right, give me a moment. I even have this. Let's go with weapons, right? Flow control. The funny thing is there are multiple versions of flow control as well. That's the funny thing. No. Flow control is power draw. That is from power plant, not power distributor.
Well, maybe I just chalked it up to one of those upgrades that I had read the description and immediately deemed it as unnecessary and then completely forgot about it and look over it every time because I know it's fucking worthless.
Let's see. Advanced software and internal sensors regulate energy flow more efficiently, reducing module power draw. That's the description of it. So that's
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yes. That's the thing. A lot, as I said in the video itself already, right? Just because it's positive and whatnot else, it doesn't mean that it is balanced according to the rest of the options that you have, and that is the biggest issue of all. This is the result of checkbox sort of a copy-paste templating everywhere. And again, not a lot of people actually question whether or not it should be in the game. Because as soon as you start to say, oh, it's not good, but, you have a counter-argument, how can you say it's not good because it only has a positive effect? You don't look at the larger, wider picture, if you will. That's at least my aim with that video was to just, examine and, give you and present you this information and hopefully somebody learned from it.
Yeah, and then there's the issue that with the current system, you will always end up in some kind of meta templates. Like Down to Earth has written this optimizer script for shields and shield boosters, where you can essentially determine the best configuration for your engineering. And if things were balanced,
Excel.
Yeah, and if it was properly balanced, there wouldn't be a clear-cut case which configuration was the best for you.
Oh yeah, no, the meta corner, right? So that's another wonderful point that I did make as well, right? With engineering, because there is that massive level of power creep and unbalancedness, if you will, it's just it easily basically drives itself into that so-called meta corner, where because of engineering, right, there are such immensely great updates like for FSDs, or for example, right, that increased range, that picking anything that is not range increasing FSD upgrade, right, is basically being really idiotic and being stupid. Because I've actually tried engineering fast charge, what is it, or cooldown reducing update for FSD.
Fast boot.
Doesn't. Yeah, fast boot. It doesn't help you escape ganking at all.
That's only for if you turn it off.
Right? So it's
just like when you turn it back on and it has to boot all up.
The alternatives.
That's the only thing that changes.
It's nice to have an alternative, but just to have an alternative for alternative's sake when there's really no purpose in it in general is also basically wasting time. And I actually did ask in that video as well, I'm constantly going back to that whole fucking sentence, but regardless, right, that are you actually putting in game these updates and upgrades, what else you want to call them, right, that are realistically speaking useless just to catch the idiots, just to waste their time? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we are actually turning Elite Danger, or rather, that's what Elite is now, because engineering has been here for fucking forever? just to catch idiots and let them grind even more because you put in, so much information in this system and not enough information to explain it in the first place as well, that you're basically just catching idiots and forcing them to grind more. Is that the case? That's not very good game design if you ask me.
Hey, Yamiks.
Yes?
Welcome to running any corrupt government.
I was waiting for that comment. Yeah, Elite Dangerous, and oftentimes, as a matter of fact, game development, fuck it, companies as well, do look, feel, and sometimes just basically emulate how governments work, indeed. Oh boy. Well, what can I say? It's great, isn't it? I mean, there are similarities, sure, and you can draw parallels, blah, 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 but whatever. So, yeah, it's just... And then, okay, well, let's talk about the information about engineering as well, right? I did touch on that subject as well, right? I really, to this day, don't understand why developers haven't included, even in the basic stats, all the information that you would ever need to know about a module, right? Oftentimes, some of the information is obscured by something else, depending on what module you're looking at. And I'm more referring here for the weapons. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Because some weapons have the information that you would like to have being known on some other weapon. But instead of that, you have, I don't know, some random information that you don't really care for. So let's say, let's just go with the beam laser. Yeah, let's go with beam laser, right? So we got integrity, we got mass, and we got basically information that you would need to know, right? The power draw, damage per second, let's see, damage type, of course. Let's see, damage fall off, which is nice, and then an armor piercing, which is also nice, thermal load. Okay, so basically, seemingly everything is here, right? Read more. Well, if you need more stats, there are, extra stats as well, right? And now let's see. Immediately on, let's see, cannons maybe. Clip size, armor piercing, shot speed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, for example, this one, right? So cannons. Okay. Well, we see information about it, its damage and so on and so forth, but we don't see the damage type. I would like to really know what damage type it has. Because guess what? It is important. But no, okay, if you say that, okay, read more. Okay, so damage type is underneath here, right? You can see the damage type. It's nice. Now let's turn to my biggest issue, child. Railguns. One of my personally favorite weapons in many games as an idea, but in Elite, railguns are, in my opinion, kind of really annoying and shit, but that's mostly because of the mechanics. Regardless, do we see damage type here? No. Okay, so let's read more. Okay, we have thermal type. So you would think that railguns are fully thermal weapons, like lasers, right? But in reality, it's not. See, railguns and plasma accelerators, as well as, let's see, experimental weapon, all the experimental weapons as well, they have additional damage types. Now, there are reasons why some damage types are not being shown. As a matter of fact, I've heard that even ramming is supposed to be a damage type. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. But yeah, anyways, what AXI guys... Yes.
No. You said something very interesting, that ramming is a damage type, correct?
Apparently, that's what I've heard from some sources.
Okay, you may or may not have some kind of possible direct connection with Frontier, but can we make a gun that shoots other ships? Out of a gun?
I love it! Can we actually have a literal ass puker or something?
Okay, here's the thing. The way to make that work, so it's not too overpowered, is you make it to where they fix the netcode for multi-crew and make it to where that type of weapon can only be fired by a crew member on a ship. And it's human guided. So if you miss, it's your fault.
A torpedo would be a pretty interesting one, wouldn't it?
I mean, if you're really bad, you'd have to call it the noob pedo.
Oh god. No, anyway, right, fair enough. Anyways, returning to the topic at hand, right? The fact that Elite, even since beginning, didn't tell you all the information that you would need to know. Because, you see, Railgun has additional damage type. It has it is a bi-damage type type of a weapon. And Plasma Accelerators is the tri-damage type of a weapon. So anyways, Railguns actually have, let's see if I remember correctly, was it 33% thermal and 60 kinetic, or was it the other way around, Mini? You remember?
For what?
For Railguns.
Ooh,
As far as I remember, they are mostly
think it's-
kinetic.
I think it's 60 kinetic, 40 thermal.
Yeah, me too. For some reason, I remember it being more thermal. Right. Oh, wait, no. Technically, it shows thermal because the thermal should be the bigger number, right? So, I think thermal was 66% and kinetic was 40.
Well, it's a rail gun, I believe.
33.
Kinetic. No.
Yeah.
It's rail gun, electromagnetically fired metallic projectile.
Hold on, I'm
So,
gonna pull up.
kinetic.
I'm gonna fucking pull up Wiki.
You are applying logic, Mini.
Yeah.
Hey, let's
Mini.
see if I'm right. Hey, maybe Frontier got something right. And if they didn't, it's going to be even funnier.
Right. So let's see. See, this is the case where you would need to know this information, but oh well, fuck it. Yeah, who cares, right? So yeah, let's just open up browser, and here we go. Here we go. Yeah, as I said, the thermal is the biggest one, so that's 66%, and kinetic is 33%.
They're missing
there you
1%.
go.
So,
yeah,
number
it's,
one, they can't do the math right. Two, they got the damage type wrong. GG, Frontier.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Right?
god.
It makes zero sense. Why would a railgun, which is just electromagnetically propelled, just, I don't know, federal brain casing or something, right? Something dense as that. No, you have thermal apparently, and it just doesn't make sense because against shields they're garbage anyways. Right, but that's the thing, and plasma accelerators are even worse on this. Right?
Oh no, Yamiks. I can explain the thermal component. That Frontier did it that way. Would you like to hear my theory?
Okay. Oh gods, do tell.
Okay, so have you seen any of those videos of like the Navy doing the test fires for the railguns, right? The slow-mo camera where it shoots it out?
Yeah,
okay, so you know that projectile is generally like on fire because of the speed, right? It's like literally obliterating itself. That's why they thought it had thermal damage. They watched the wrong video before they actually started shaping the projectiles correctly to go like Mach 2.
But okay, I understand the current is going
Well,
through the projectile.
the
So
fire
someone
you
was
see
but
like,
it's
in
still
the-
more mass than heat.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Someone was like, "Hey, what kind of damage type should railguns do?" I don't know. Let me look up a video. It's on fire.
mean-
Mostly thermal damage.
I mean, at that point,
Well,
you would.
here's the thing. The video of the Navy where they show the railgun by BAE systems. Yes, there is some bright, quote-unquote, fire coming out. But what you are actually seeing there is
Arcing.
essentially arcing. It's electrical plasma. So it's not fire.
Yeah.
It's
Well, there's
it's
also
the
that,
arcing.
and then there's the casing they fire it down to before
Well,
it breaks
that's
Yeah,
out.
this
Sebo,
about-
yeah, but
Comes out.
eh.
So, you know, if they actually knew what they were looking at, they
But
would know
anyways,
that. But the whole
in
joke
that
is they
case,
don't.
if the railgun would be more thermal than kinetic, it should be spewing lava out of it. You know, the molten fucking projectile, or rather, just molten mass, which would be a plasma accelerator essentially,
No,
or plasma
That's,
thrower.
that's
or
what
what
they
it
gave
does.
us. That's what they gave us incendiary rounds for.
Right, but now on serious note though, again, let's return to plasma accelerators, right? It shows absolute, right? Its damage type is absolute, and it's the only weapon in the game that has absolute, aside from the other one from the experimental. But regardless, never mind. So again, we don't see the percentages even, right? We just hear,
50%.
you know, the main type of damage. What is absolute damage type? You don't even explain this shit. Elite Dangerous
Thargoid
is
damage.
so barren of information that it's disgusting sometimes. And a game that tries to be as close as reality and what it tells, or try to have that realism factor, also forgets that it is a game and it should inform its players. And again, we're currently not talking about engineering, but engineering is even worse than this, because at least you see a little bit of information here, right, and all that stuff. In engineering, you basically have no information about many things that you do, which is disgusting. And of course, thanks to someone like Mini, and I oftentimes also take information from Mini and report it as well. And through that information, basically we all learn, right? Because somebody has done it already and investigated it.
Yeah.
It's sickening. What kind of a game designer actually basically slaps it on as an idea and doesn't even explain what the fuck is that idea supposed to be? So yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Richard writes on Yamiks, be careful what you complain about. Remember, if front-end developments were to change something, they were most likely going to make it worse.
I'd like to say you're wrong, but you're
engineers
probably
are
not.
already game-breaking. Honestly, I mean, it would be a shit show. At least I would have fun making another, complaining, not complaining, but critique video and just beat a dead horse. At least that'd be interesting for a while until we all stop playing the game, right? But clearly, I'm not doing that because I want to stop playing Elite, right?
So you do want to stop playing Elite? Or did I misunderstand that?
Right now, it wants me to stop playing the game. The game wants me to stop playing it.
Well,
as one of the developers back in the day told me. As somebody who has played, 500 or so hours or more or whatnot else, has played for a long time. I mean, stop playing it. You played it enough to take a break or something. Don't play my game. Play something else. That's what the developer literally told me once. Paraphrasing, of course. I was gobsmacked at well, I mean, okay, it was honest answer, honestly, yes, but when you're making a product, it's like me saying, hey, stop watching my videos because you've watched enough. No, what I want people to do is just enjoy my stuff and, be able to enjoy it constantly and all that stuff. Or, fuck it, if you take a break, hey, I make videos, on a regular basis, come back and check out those new things, rather than just saying that, no, it's enough. No, that's a bad way to handle PR, but that person wasn't a PR person, so clearly that's a different topic anyways. Fucking hell. But yeah,
Anyway,
engineering.
what's next?
Eh?
I said, what's next?
Right, yeah, engineering in general. It's just, and the funniest thing is also that engineering is just such an afterthought. Really, I don't know. It's weird. It's pure and simple weird stuff because. Not only the descriptions are missing, but also the fact that, they make changes to some engineering parts, right? And then forget to completely change the descriptions as well. Even the little text blobs that, the NPCs, whatever, robots are, giving you in front, that whole wide angle thing. In the description of wide angle grade 5 from Lee, you see him describing that it increases the wide-angle sensors capability, but increases mass and something else there. And then you look at the upgraded values and what it actually does. It doesn't even increase mass, and you're wondering what the fuck are you even talking about? Yeah.
Speaking of mass,
yes.
A couple of weeks ago, I guided someone through engineering an exploration ship. And when I told him he should just heavy-duty deep-plate engineer his light-weight alloys, he was asking, what, doesn't that reduce my jump range? I said, no, it doesn't add to your mass. But it really helps you if you are going to lethal break on a planet.
Yep,
And
that
he was
was the
gobsmacked.
funniest shit. Like how is that not? The thing is, okay, value wise, right? It doesn't even beat the next strongest hull that you can have. I think it was the reinforced. Yeah, it was reinforced, right? So you have lightweight, reinforced, and then military grade, right? So upgraded lightweights don't, get you more HP than the reinforceds. But still, instead of that, you're literally just not increasing, or rather, you're not getting any penalty for doing so, while lightweight does. See, lightweight reduces the hull amount while increasing... Wait, did it actually decrease the mass? Oh my god, I don't think it... Hold on.
No, it doesn't
No,
decrease
like-
the mass.
Lightweight does decrease mass, but not on lightweight armor.
Hold on, I think I have even pinned...
You
let's
can't
see.
get
Armor,
negative mass.
yes. Yeah, I have a heavy... No, that's armor, heavy duty. Yeah, that's the armor, right. So give me a moment. I don't want to switch from this pie ass, but I guess I'll have to for showcase purposes. Military compressor, whatever. Let's just switch it to something else. So yeah. But who reads that stuff? Well, the thing is, somebody who's new to engineering, who needs that information, and instead of going to the third-party sources like, watching my videos and whatnot else, actually wants to play the game and learn about its functions, about its, gameplay and so on and so forth by naturally playing the game. But the game tells you to fuck off. I don't know any other game that does this shit, aside from maybe Star Citizen, but, that's not a game, really. Anyways. Oh, wait, no, I only have heavy duties, right? I only have heavy duties, shit. Oh, wait, no, I
Yeah,
don't
the
have...
discoverability of features in Elite is really, really poor.
Oh, it's amazingly poor. I do have, however, filmed that one. Give me a moment. Let's see. Let me check my recordings, because I did film the whole... Let's see, where is the Celine gene? There we go, footage of Celine. And which one was with the lightweight armor? Oh god. Those are hull reinforcements. Actually, I might as well put in the monitor capture. No, that's the wrong one. There we go. Yes. Right, so this is the footage essentially. So let's see. Lightweight, right? So it reduces the hull boost. It doesn't reduce the weight, which makes the lightweight actually only penalize. Okay, fine. It actually does increase your resistances, so that's kind of the only positives you're getting from lightweight armor for putting lightweight armor upgrades on your bulkheads. Like, where is the fairness in that, right? It's completely broken because, again, they just didn't care to check this shit even. And I anyone's got an explanation why that happened? Because I sure as fuck would like to know. So yeah, it's lightweight bulkheads don't decrease the value, of course. Yeah, makes sense. Because again, lightweight bulkheads have mass of 0. Because that makes sense. Sure, why not? Hey, well, there you go. It's great. It's a good thing that I do capture these things and save it, on hard drive and shit. Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy. Right, we could use some music. There we go. So let's see. Any questions or comments about the thingamajig? Feel free to just put them in the chat. So I'll try and answer as much as I can. Right. So, anyways, Aura. Right. So, do you really like/enjoy playing Elite? Please tell me 3 things that you like about Elite. Just have something positive. you're trying to force a... Basically, you're trying to force positivity. Shouldn't positivity, like, come naturally? Otherwise, it's fake? I mean, sure, I can tell you easily. Music, and the visuals, and immersion. Those would be the 3 pinnacles of Elite Dangerous. As in immersion, I mean, literally, you know, you're being in the cockpit and looking at the UI and so on and so forth, because, yeah. That part of Elite hasn't really changed, like, well, actually has changed a few times, I think. But that was basically to update and then basically maybe fix the UI issues. I mean, these days it's questionable still, so there you go. So, yeah. Let's see. Edison, if I got that right, your idea is to remove the progress of already engineered modules, or to remove grade 4 or 5 modules are stupid. Okay. Let's see. I mean, let's see. I think you meant the first portion of what you said there about to completely remove engineering, right? Alright, so let's talk about completely removing engineering, shall we? Probably a topic that a lot of you are kind of split on, I would probably guess. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick questionnaire. Fuck it. Sounds like something interesting, because it's, again, we're just brainstorming at this point. So, and stream tuber. Hey, I really want Elite 4 to come out. You sound like your soul is destroying my good sir. Oh no, I'm fine. The thing is, I revel in beating a dead horse. Trust me, it's all good. I mean, I played Elite. I played PlanetSide 2 for 4 years. Okay. So that should tell you plenty enough of how much more juice I have in my tank, if you will. Okay, I should have... Yep, we got the straw poll ready, so feel free to vote on it and what else. Let's see the numbers in just a bit. So, in the meantime, so yeah, let's talk about removing engineering and, you know, why I find it as an option even, right? So, well, clearly here's the thing about engineering, right? I've, you know, presented plenty of little things, maybe not in the stream, but many times again, how it's essentially OP as fuck, right? And clearly developers have barely ever gone back to re-examine things and change it. Engineering 2.0 was almost an effort, right? It was almost an effort. It was, you know, in the right direction, changing one portion of the 3 or 4 bigger aspects that are still left, you know, for it, that are unchanged. But still, one of them were changed, you know, to remove the complete Gambletron, right? And, okay, fine, you did an okay job. Questionable in some cases, but okay, fine. You did it in the best way you could at the time, and it's fine. But it needs to change even further, and it shouldn't stop there. Because Engineering 2.0, clearly, back in the day even, I said, I think I was actually talking with Mini as well, multiple times about this stuff, that if they change engineering, clearly they can't remove engineered modules, or they can't or rather they have to introduce modules, or rather, if they are grandfathering the old modules, they have to introduce the new updates better, or that have better results than the previous system. Otherwise, why would you switch, right? That makes sense. On that concept that you have to keep the old values, that you have to keep, or rather you can't delete the, you know, progress that everyone, like, for example, Mini has made in the game, right? Spending hours on in game, just grinding out the materials, because removing their modules would just invalidate their time straight away, right? And then it makes sense, sure. It kind of makes sense, but on the other hand, there are ways around it as well, right? So back in the day, sure, fine, kind of makes sense. But engineering wasn't, engineering 2.0 still wasn't nearly as good as it could have been. Orange Park, hey, I see you in the chats. If you want to come and discuss, feel free to drop in a voice somewhere. I'll drag you in. Anyways, what was I on about? I was. Oh, god damn it. Straw poll, right. Let's see how many of you actually want to remove engineering. See, removing engineering is personally one of the things that I've seen actually plenty of people suggest already. But let's see. The reason why I personally, while I do agree with it in some ways, I personally rather see the same customizability, the positives of engineering coming to fruition. Being actually there for us. Yeah. So. But yeah. Anyways, Orange, nice to see you.
Hey, how you doing?
For those that don't know, who is Orange Spark? Introduce.
Hi. I'm Commander Orange Spark. Playing this game for like 2015. I run the Galactic Academy. Place new players can go to learn about the game. Yeah, that's it.
A representative in some way or another from Galactic Academy. There you go. Anyways, that's the result of the straw poll here.
Well, since Spark is out, or since Spark is in, I'll hop out.
All right, Mini. Thanks for coming along and all that.
Take care, Mini.
Though, Mini, your opinion: remove engineering completely or not? Mini's thinking. While he's thinking, I might as well read the message from a generous fellow there. Right, so would you not agree that in the current system, Elite Dangerous, there is no actual end-game gameplay? Everything currently in the game is there to outfit the ships and make it. Yep, Elite Dangerous doesn't have an end game on purpose. It's a live service game. Pure and simple. That it's made to perpetually have people playing it in order to make constant money. Pure and simple. It's done because it's a live service game and it drives as a live service product. It's not even a product. It's trying to be a service rather than a game. And,
okay, so
yeah. Anyways, Mini, go. Remove engineering or
your
not?
question. Realistically, they can't, so no. Because if they removed it, they'd lose too much content, and then their subscriber base / user base would disappear.
It would be a massive negative take, yes.
It would also be a whatever amount they put in waste of development time if they were to take it out.
Yep, there's also that. So it's sunk cost, folks. Let's enjoy the sunk cost. So yeah, everyone is also pretty much split on. Honestly, I was expecting a bit more swayed towards no, though. But oh well, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, about removing engineering, right? So the thing is, yeah, so clearly, from the betterment of the game, it would make Elite more balanced. It wouldn't have such a massive power creep as it has now because of engineering, right? And it also would remove extra grinding and so on and so forth. But generally, I look at it from the grinding perspective. And Extreme, hey, thanks for subscribing there on Twitch. I really appreciate it. But yeah. See, removing engineering is it's just at this point it's such a sunk cost, right? Everyone has spent so much time in the system that it would basically cause, unknowingly or knowingly, everyone to just rage out. Clearly, because you've spent hours on it, and Mini probably knows more about that than anyone else that I know of just spending literal months of grinding something out just to make a ship, right? And suddenly then one day coming back and seeing the developers have completely removed that system and given you back nothing would be a negative move, clearly. So that's why I also don't like the idea. But on the other hand, there are options to remove the existing one and introduce something instead. There's always an option. There's always a solution, and you can make it. And that's what I always advocate for more. But, you know, people would still be angry because, you removed my engineered things and you gave me back some free upgrade tokens. Whatever. Something that the Warframe did. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyway, multiple times as a matter of fact, but, you know. But yeah, anyways, Orange, so your couple of thoughts about engineering, if you had any during the stream.
1 second, I'm being called from us.
Right then. Sorry, in that case, then, let's talk about the engineering 2.0, right? Back in the day, so those that don't know, the history was that the engineering was, basically the Gambletron, right? It had this constant randomness and absolutely random numbers almost, with maximum limits here and there, right? So you actually had those so-called god rolls, the rolls that would have near the absolute maximum possible on one or multiple stats, right?
Okay, I'm back, or should be for a while.
And oh god, big dump. Jesus Christ. Oh my. Dude.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's see what you got. A lifetime of grind for a capital ship, and Eve did it better. Probably, arguably, yes. I haven't played it much to know, but I take your word for it. Now go grind the void opals and start having fun or else. Yeah, grinding fun. Well, that's a different topic, but yeah. But no, seriously, dude, thank you so much. Right, Orange, so your couple of thoughts about engineering. I'll probably finish my thing later.
So, well, I did see your video earlier today. Got a new TV. It was the first thing to play on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I partially agree, but not completely.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Right. So I always ask everyone who is not agreeing with me. Obviously, where's your disagreement? And let's have an alternative viewpoint. But you're going on, so finish your thoughts.
So, I almost entirely agree with the old system. The old system was just bad. Like, actually punishing you bad. Because one decent roll could be undone instantly trying to make something better. And there was a possibility you'd never reach the same thing. I think they've, at least in the upgrading mechanic itself, done better by the fact that you now cannot go down without, entirely removing the modifications.
There's no more waste. Oh jeez.
Oh, geez.
Big dump. And you finished the call. Thank you. I'll read that message in just a bit, but let's let Orange finish there. Basically, for a reference point, the old system essentially constantly every stat that was changed randomly, fully. So you would have almost infinite amount of random variations. And there was also a chance where you could, in the first roll, and I think Mini has gotten a couple of those, rolls where you basically have almost god tier level of lucky roll the first time you roll. And then every other one of the rolls after that is basically
garbage.
Just absolutely worse.
Yeah.
Basically wasting your time. Yeah.
Oh, no. I have a perfect video for that. It's my 500 rolls on shield boosters video.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
sorry, I don't think I have the time to watch 10 hours of video tonight.
No, I spun it up.
Okay.
It's just 40 minutes.
I did a speed multiplier of times 10, and then I times 10 it again, so it's 100 times speed.
Yeah,
And this is
many just
the freaking roulette where you had to like attempt to get an experimental on it.
I have to say though, big fan of your speed build.
Uh,
The
which
Elite
one?
Racer in me gets giddy.
Oh, the Viper.
The Viper.
Yeah, I made a lot of Imperial Eagle fanboys angry when I made that video.
I mean, Viper is the fastest ship in the game, pure and simple.
Yep, base speed and cap speed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Turn for
You
shit.
were saying something there, Orange, there. Yeah.
It's really fast. Straight. Don't
Yeah.
turn.
I mean, both of them are really.
Oh,
One of
man,
them are really good at
taking to an
turning.
asteroid field just trying to dodge rocks and surviving. Oh, it is so hard.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. Yeah, Orange, you were talking about the old system and its randomness.
Yeah. Well, that's basically all said. Like, it was bad. Like, I'm really happy we moved over to the new one. Which, yes, you can't really go over certain values anymore. But at least there is now a tangible, like, end result you can reach.
Yeah, you can go over the maximum values if you.
Those are called experimentals.
Well, yes, but I still take those in account. Like, you know, you have the maximum value, and then you add the experimental, which moves that just moves the goalpost. You know?
Yeah.
About that stuff, right? So the so-called god rolls, right? For reference point, right? Back in the day, you had a roll which basically gave you a minimum and maximum, values in between which it rolled the random number, right? So you get that number as it's randomly generated, right? So let's say you randomly manage to get the maximum value of that roll or for that stat. And then, additionally, you would get a chance to get a secondary buff that would further increase one or decrease others, and whatnot else. Basically, increase or decrease stats. So that was the secondary roll that was done. So basically, there were two rolls done. And both of them had minimums and maximums. So,
Here's the thing.
And of course, there was experimentals on top of that. So technically, three rolls. Yes.
That secondary portion of the RNG roll on the old system would take a freaking fantastic roll and be like, hey, you can't have that. Let's decrease that number by like 50% of the total. And you're like, why? Or it goes super negative and then it gives you a positive and it's still worse than the minimum value.
Yeah. So, but the point here is that in the old system, you would still have the minimum and the maximum. Just the fact that that minimum and maximum was split in two rolls. So, it looked like you could go overboard, but it really wasn't.
The thing about it back in the day with over engineering was attempting to get a perfect blue bar for your roll. And then, through a series of experimentation, figuring out what the maximum positive random boost value is on the secondary portion of the roll, which is completely random. So you had to try to get your primary roll perfect and then hope for a positive income or a positive influence number after that. That also had its range of variations for how much those changed. It wasn't set.
So it just further increased the levels of variety between the modules, which in idea was nice that no two ships were ever similar. That's true, but it also introduced the level of wasting your time.
Yeah, which is a thing that Frontier could improve.
My ears are burning.
Yeah.
The gathering materials.
Yeah, mine 9,000 rolls later. And they finally standardized engineering for me. I was like, oh great, now I have to go re-engineer all the things I've already done. At least I only have to do a maximum of 8 to 12 rolls for a grade 5.
Yeah, it was I think it was 8 to actually 16. The worst case scenario for me was I did test it in beta back in the day when they
8 to 12 average. You're lucky if you do it in 5. If you do it in 5, you're like, oh, that's amazing.
But anyways, so Orange Park, you were saying,
I have to bounce.
All right, Minnie. You take care and thanks for joining in. So those that don't know, Minnie also used to make videos for Elite.
I just got my new PC set up. I got 2 monitors again. I'm working on getting a third. I'm currently working on cleaning my studio today and tomorrow so I can move the PC from on top of the desk to underneath so I have room for 3 monitors. So I'll have the desk space for my studio again. And then...
Yo, cable management is no joke.
Yeah, my cable management will be redone because right now it is a cacophony of chaos, and that will be fixed.
Feel free to go and do that stuff.
And then I will be back on Elite.
All right, so maybe after 2 months, look forward to it. If Minnie hasn't, hanged himself with those wires.
If everything goes well, like maybe I'll have my stream set up by like Wednesday next week because
we'll see you in the new era.
But,
yeah.
I'm gonna tentatively say next week or week after because work has been chaos.
All right.
Anyway, I'm gonna go enjoy my days off, and you guys have a good time and enjoy discussing engineering. I'm gonna get my studio ready.
Alrighty then. Right, so returning to the topics and so on and so forth to try and keep on that schedule, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I love to beat the dead horse, but anyways, being alone, that's
you too.
When I have guests, I try to accommodate as much as I can. So carry
on. Yeah, well, thing is, I don't really have any ideas on how to improve it. Like
it's not your job.
Yeah, I know. I can see the issues, but
anyways, actually, you did mention you almost agreed. So the question is, where you disagreed with my points that I made, if you can remember any.
It's mainly that I feel less strongly about things.
Gotcha.
It's like I really enjoy a lot of your content, but I can hardly recommend it because, well, mainly your colorful vocabulary. Make it hard.
People don't like the shit, piss, cunt, tits, dick, ass, and chode, I don't know, penis and things? I mean, those are wonderful things, depending on whom you ask, right? Not kink-shaming anyone.
Shrug. But yeah, like honestly, I'd have to rewatch the video to pick out points where I'm saying, oh no, I disagree here.
All right. Okay, actually, I had 8 suggestions, right? So I mean, we can go basically through them and see,
let's.
Yeah. So basically, what people think. So first things first. So my first suggestion was that they can just simply, take one of their interns, slap them in the face, and tell them to basically put in all the information in the experimentals, describe and basically change all the descriptions to match the actual values and tell us all the information. Basically, put in all the information and make sure that the information that has been put in actually matches what the fucking thing does.
What? You're telling us we need correct information?
Yes, imagine that. we actually need an upgrade to say that it upgrades mass management or something like that instead of your joystick waggle speed.
Hmm.
Or something.
I mean, doesn't it kind of it does give you a stat and says, well, this will increase by this %.
The upgrades sometimes do. Well, the simpler ones do, but experimentals are the biggest pain childs, as I call them.
You mean like the Healy beams or the plasma slugs?
Healy's, heat, met weapons, and basically every other experimental that is not a straight-up, simple stat increase upgrade. Because that's the thing, phasing, right? Phasing is a wonderful upgrade, right? That a lot of us actually pick on our weapons. But what information you need to know with that phasing effect is what is the percentage of the fucking damage that goes through the shield. You clearly see that it reduces the damage overall from the weapon, but it just simply says that it's gonna phase some damage through the shields.
Has it been tested? Has it been tested if that's a clear and set number for every weapon?
I think it's let's see. Somebody in the chats, if you know please correct me, but I think it was something like 30%? I have a feeling that it probably was 30% or something like that that phases through on each weapon hit. Or was it... No, I think it was... Or was it 5? Either 30%, which I'm not sure, or 5, most likely.
Yeah,
Cassie says
5
10%, so again, I don't remember, but it literally was less than 50%, clearly.
That seems like an acceptable amount.
So, yeah, it makes sense, right? It's good against those shield tanks, and really, phasing is the only proper way to deal with shield tanks these days anyways. Because Reverb Cascade works on slow ships? And let's be honest, everyone is meta playing third lances or cutters, and those are way faster than torpedoes, so no.
Chieftain gang, hoo-ha!
Yeah. So yeah, basically my first suggestion was put in information, all the information and all the stats, so we know what the fuck we are even picking.
So, like, I feel, and I don't know if I've spoken publicly about this or not, but I've always been a big fan of, having an official wiki. An official wiki would be great.
Okay.
You could either slot it into the codex, or have it as since we already go out of the game for a bunch of things, why not have an actual official wiki with information like this that comes straight from the devs? It can keep the end game nice and black boxy. Like, okay, we're just gonna give a general description, but then for people who want, they can go look it up. That looks...
okay, official wiki is not a bad idea in a way, but the problem is twofold, at least as I see it. First of all, it's a third-party tool, right? And a proper game shouldn't need a third-party tool as a mandatory thing, right? Because Elite basically mandates that you have to have third-party tools in order to actually play the fucking thing or know about it, mostly, right? Otherwise, you're... either asking someone who knows, or literally the game doesn't tell you, as with engineering, right? And the other one is... Yes?
Sorry. I have the slight suspicion that the devs want to artificially keep some kind of mystery aspect there. Like, if you look back to the first
It's a
carrier
common practice
beta
in game development,
with
yes.
Exegius. With Exegius asking for the spreadsheet where the carrier equipment station, carrier outfitting stations are, and if you might share it, and the response of developers was, no,
go
we want
discover
to,
it!
players... Yeah,
Literally,
and
that's what they said. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I heard. I was listening.
It was disgusting. Like, hey, you need to know where in the fucking 33rd fucking 34th century you need to find a postal service? Go discover it, you fuck! like
famous with
internet
markets.
doesn't exist, and communications just... Anyways.
why can't I look up market values right in the game?
No idea.
Because you need to travel to these things and waste your time, that's why. Pure and simple, that's why. That's the thing, and yeah, if you're talking about the whole values being hidden, right, and that thing, right, many game developers do this. First of all, because probably developers don't think that the information that is, not being told to the player is not important or shouldn't be told. So first things first, a lot of developers tend to just forget to include information, which is fine and dandy. If community asks for it, usually these developers include that information. Yeah, it's all good. Or describe it somewhere at least that it is public knowledge, right? But Frontier developments, or at least rather elite developers, have this mentality that you have to go and discover these things for yourself, and you need to spend time and look it up in game or what else, or just trust that it does something. I don't know. That is just absolutely stupid in some things, like, you know, being or rather not knowing where Raxley is, or not knowing where in our bases are, right? I mean, in your base, there we go. Yes, that is a mystery that has to be, you know, hidden, right, and not told to the player.
You've got mysteries, and then you've got just information.
Yeah, pure and simple.
That could be handy. Not should, but could.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's on purpose. Rather with the fleet carriers, it was put in purpose, right, or rather on purpose, not told you, and that is malicious and disgusting way to design. Honestly, it's just misinformed, or rather just stupid way to do these things. But, you know, that's just my, you know, perception. Hey, you know, I'm not, as Orange there says, you know, very kind with words sometimes.
I mean, this isn't the kind with words thing. I do agree that for, like, even if just for the purposes of beta testing, they could have shared even the redacted, like, you know, like these places. That's not all of them,
yeah,
but these places
providing
for
your
sure.
testers with the testing tools is amazing. That's another topic we're not gonna get into today just yet. So.
Yes, let's not.
Because I can talk about that forever. Like.
Yeah, I got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
How about gathering materials? Any nice ideas on how we could
Right, I
either
actually
speed
had
it
some
up
suggestions
or make
on
that more
as well.
dynamic?
Right, so easy way for developers to garner super good press from, especially someone like Exigeous, who really likes to flagellate himself with, you know, whip and whatnot else while doing the material grinding, it seems sometimes. I jokingly say oftentimes, is to just increase the drop rate, as in either increase the amount of materials you get per chunk, or simply the drop rate is increased. Either which way, it really doesn't matter. That's an easy and lazy way to get free positive press that would actually be positive for everyone, really.
Can I try and pick a hole in that?
Yes.
No, you go first. Dayton, you go first.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be just have missions which give really good amounts of material drops, not just 3 cooling vanes, but like give me 20 of them for one mission, and maybe not just one kind of material. Like you get 15 heat vanes and 3 or 30 chemical processing plants, something like that.
It's still basically increasing the drop rate and the amount of materials that are given to you. So
yes, increase the drop rate and add it to missions. Make material running missions something you want to do, and not something you say, oh, okay, the only way to get this commodity, like what was it? I think it was modular terminals, which are not a material, but the engineer wants it. You can only gather it through running missions. And I got lucky. I actually could get all the amount of modular terminals I needed in one mission, but other people have to run 4 or 5 of them to get the amount.
Yeah.
Right, your hole.
Your hole?
Mr. Spark, you had a hole to pick, so...
Oh, yeah, right. Haven't they already increased the amount of drops you get on the one hand? Like, picking up now gives us 3 of one thing.
Yes,
it used to be just 1.
Yeah, back in the day, you would pick up only one from one chunk. You would pick up 1 material instead of 3 like today. Fun history, folks. Look it up. Also, for history's sakes, they also did, I think, increased. I think it was high grade spawning weekend or something like that a little while back. It was something to do with materials that they basically did a increased weekend or something like that. So anyways, they have done that. That's pretty much all they have done when it relates to material drop rates and such.
So
what's your hole to pick?
Well, yeah, like that was already one thing, and another is if you changed, like if you boost certain things in the spawn table, like if you say boost higher grade materials in the spawn table, isn't that going to systematically push out the lower grade one? Like I was working on my alt account this week, rushing it through the engineers to get it ready for Colonia, where it now. And the hardest time I had was finding actually like the grade 1 materials, because all I kept finding was the good stuff, the high end ones.
Right. For a moment, let's ignore the fact that we have exchangers. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ignoring that one.
Yeah, if you actually had to play Elite's engineering portion like you had to do back in the day before any improvements were given to us, right? You would still pick up things, and if you increase the drop rate of one thing, obviously it pushes the drop table, towards that one thing rather than the others, and so on and so forth. So. Yeah, you have a point. Now, I probably should have prefaced this with the idea that instead of, one chunk that gives 3, you would have one chunk that gives 6, and so on and so forth. That sort of idea. That instead of having spawning one chunk, you would have 3 chunks being essentially an equal value being spawned. That was what I meant by a drop rate. But I'm not talking about drop rate, increasing on higher tiers or lower tiers. What I meant is drop amount. There we go. That's what I should have said.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Case of misunderstanding.
It's fair enough. Yeah. So yeah, that's an easy and lazy solution for an issue that would still persist. So yeah, I mean, it would alleviate it a little, actually quite a lot, as a matter of fact. But yeah, that's what I don't want to see. A lazy solution, yet another bandage on as I call landmines victim, is not something I want.
Yes, I've read that line somewhere. So. Actually, that is something I'd like to see, but there is a but. There's always a but. Kinky. Like tie this to bigger ships. Say that the small ships drop what they drop today, like nowadays.
Basically, you have loot ships. This ship has better drop rate for this material. An interesting idea. Okay.
Yeah, mainly just like tie it to landing pad size. A medium drops chunks extra. A large 3.
Okay.
That way you actually need to progress like ship wise or like skill wise to take down the better targets that offer the better drop rates.
Right, to explain this from the gameplay design perspective, so usually MMORPGs are just RPG games, even something that is not even close to that, just let's say Borderlands, right? There are items in these games that have equipment and loot and such items that increase the drop chances and things like those. Basically, items that if you choose, or rather if you want a better chance for something to drop, you are sacrificing that slot. Essentially, that's what the game designer is saying. Okay, you want a better drop? Okay, how about you, let's say, sacrifice your hard points, all of your hard points, but you have a 50% bigger chance of getting, higher tier drops. That is a trade-off that often in these types of games happen, and also you can sort of tie the drop chances for different tools, items, and whatnot else with different weapons or just mechanics, essentially, and that's usually done to stimulate at least more desirable gameplay. Let's say instead of just shooting, a big boss with a shotgun and you get normal loot, if you finish the boss with a sniper rifle, you get a specific loot or something like that. That idea, that would sort of be
that sounds very niche.
Yeah, it's very niche idea, but the point is that with these sort of incentives, with these positive reinforcements, you can sort of incentivize player to do the gameplay in either a harder fashion, being more challenging, or do it in a more desirable fashion. Like oftentimes in Valve's games, you can see, those loot drops and what else that are along the, roads, and what else being marked with a lambda sign. If you just look, and so on and so forth. So it's, just indicate, or rather, sort of direct your vision to them, or some other way, right? Again, this is not exactly what we're talking about currently, so material grinding is the topic that we're kind of talking, so rather than... but that's a whole different, story involved thing, I suppose. So, yeah. So returning to the material grinding, you said, right? How to improve that. As I said, easiest and laziest way is to just increase the drop amounts. There we go. That's the laziest and easiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Alternative, as I would personally like to see, is less luck, more skill. Actually having specific jobs, first of all, being more predictable and rewarding you for doing these things. Let's say killing a Targoid, gives you specific Targoid materials, which is predictable, but oftentimes also very random. Not always you get the same amount of things, and so on and so forth. But this is the thing with Elite Dangerous, right? They specifically code it with randomness in mind, and that has to be in the game. Sure, that's how you pad out the background. But when it comes down to foreground play, right, the main focus of the game, it should be predictable. That's what I'm sort of implying here, right? When you do specific job, you shouldn't, hope to get one chemical manipulator. It should be guaranteed, plus some extra, non-important things. And sure, in some cases, yeah, they are predictable, but as I've, for example, shown, the whole engineering is just so disgusting sometimes, especially with FSDs, right? Back in the day, right, in order to get the best FSD increased range upgrade, you would have to do exactly the same gameplay that you did to get the grade 1 as to grade 5. There was no difference. The difference was that you would have to roll more dice in order to get that data mined wake exception material that was necessary for that grade 5 update, which was clearly less, it had less chance to drop. And that was the only difference. There was no skill, it was just pure luck and just pure time wasting. And instead of that, I want skill gameplay, predictable gameplay. So that's how you mostly would fix the, engineering's material grind issue, because it's truly a grind where you have no guarantee, and it feels like, honestly, gambling of your time, really. But, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't even make it in a way that you need specific materials to unlock an engineered module, but more like that you are collecting materials and giving them to the engineers to work with, and you just essentially increase your standing with the engineer, and then you can just engineer out your modules until this resource count is exhausted. Like a mix of the old system where you had a total number of materials, but the specific materials doesn't matter. You just have a certain standing with the engineer.
Right. I did address this time and time again back in the day as well. Remember, folks, materials are currency. If you will, they are a token for completing a gameplay.
Yep.
Materials are a currency. Pure and simple. Remember this. They are not like real iron. They are not commodities. They're not items. They are credits. Think of them as credits. They're upgrade credits, if you will. Materials are specifically designed to be, as I usually try to give that comparison of going to a carnival fair, right? You go to a carnival fair, do some BB gun shooting, and, for doing that activity, you are given a ticket. And you can exchange that ticket with a prize, right? Well, in some carnivals, obviously. But regardless, That's what materials are. You do SRV driving on a planet's surface, you probably will collect some raw materials. And raw materials are essentially used for, well, one or the other type of...
kind of everything.
Upgrades, right? And so on and so forth. That's what they are meant to do. And this... I absolutely hate this idea that constantly people say that, oh, I wish I could exchange materials for credits. No! You'll never be able, as much as you would like to, you'll never be able to exchange materials for credits, because credits are reward for grinding missions and doing the basic things in Elite Dangerous. Materials are rewards for doing Horizons activities. So yeah, mostly. Of course, they are intersecting in what else, but that's modern changes, right? Generally speaking, yeah. So materials are basically just reward tokens for doing Horizons-based activities, and credits are for the base game's activities. Pure and simple. And they will never be interchangeable because they are both currencies. And if you can invalidate one type of currency of your game by offering an exchange rate for the other, it basically says that, oh no, I'd much rather go and just do this completely unrelated gameplay, which is not designed, and in any way you shape or form it, it's not a positive thing, be that from a player's perspective or dev's perspective. Yes.
Yamiks, please, the game can only handle so many types of inflation.
As if there would be a real market. We only could wish there would be real market in Elite. Oh god. Oh wait, no, we will have that player-to-player economy. I mean, credit transfer. Soon-ish.
I'm really curious to see how much will actually be done with it. I have some plans of things I want to do, but yeah.
Give players free credits. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Oh no, I'm thinking of well, this idea has been thrown out so many times. Set up close to some miners, buy for a decent price, move ship to selling system, sell at a slight profit.
The problem with that is, right, so we're getting into fleet carriers a little bit, but
sorry,
yeah,
didn't mean to move it off topic.
It's good, because it's a interesting change, but the problem with that change is you don't know what each megaship fleet carrier sells or buys. You're never given this information unless you dock on it. And let's be honest, will you be ready to waste your time to go to every single parked fleet carrier near you, or go immedately to the place that you know that sells or buys the stuff that you want to buy or sell? Be that a chance that fleet carrier will buy whatever that obscure thing that you're carrying, or go to a promised result, right? I highly doubt there will be people, unless of course they advertise this thing, but let's be honest, how long will people actually do this advertising that, oh, I am buying this thing, come to me, come to me, come to me? I don't think there will be many people.
You could maybe have them set a kind of like a message you do with the squadrons. Like you can post a message on your squadron thingy, like
that would be one good solution.
Let the owner
be okay.
give them a small space to post a message.
Yeah. Alternatively, a better solution to that would be ability to check what the fucking fleet carrier is selling or buying from Galaxy Map. You know, just saying that would be really, really useful to just kind of do, right? It'd be useful to be able to do that. Just
true.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
Material trading fleet carrier? Anyone?
I don't care. I literally don't care. I hate material traders, mostly because they are doing more positive things than, or rather, it's being looked at as more positive thing than a negative thing, while it's being such a lazy thing, and actually it's such a punishing
bit skewed towards the trader and not the player.
Yeah. Well. Right. Let's see. Actually, oh, right. Here's an interesting side note. So, one of my suggestions about engineering was, how to improve it and what else. An easy thing is to remove engineer upgrading. As in, you unlock the engineer, you completed its task, or rather, you first of all got an invitation from the engineer. You done that. You unlocked the engineer. You also done that. Remove the upgrade. The fact that you don't need to go through, its upgrade session just to be allowed to engineer to grade 5.
I mean,
or what else? Just remove that engineer.
Isn't that really a one-time issue?
That's the thing. It's the one-time issue, and it's only, or rather, it was designed so to prevent anyone from just unlocking an engineer and immediately rolling grade 5s.
True.
That was back in the day when you could do that. That was the only reason why it was there.
How many rolls is it gonna take to grade 5? I heard Mini throw the number 8 between 12 rolls out there.
So grade 1 was twice as many as normal. Or right now it was actually like 3 to 4 rolls, I think, on grade 1. A little bit more extra on grade 2.
Roll within,
basically just doubles the amount of rolls you need to do, I think.
If you roll within every grade, then I recently had to go through Felicity and some other people. It's like what, 3 to 4 rolls in every grade of their own grade?
Yes. No, give or take. I don't know. Really, I haven't checked it because again, it's a one-time thing and you can't retest.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I worked on the alt this week.
Yeah. The thing is, right, your argument there is, I take it at least, that it's not such a big thing, right? It's just one-time thing and that's done. Yeah. Oh, but then on the other hand, if it doesn't increase the grind levels to any noticeable degree, and it really doesn't take up time, also it doesn't introduce any new gameplay or interesting gameplay side effects or whatnot else, what is the point? If the developer doesn't see any increase in player times, if us players don't even like it, what's the point in keeping it? There's no reason for it. It adds such a little side amount of grade. It's just, does it really matter? That's my point, right?
In the long run, I'd say no, but it's yeah.
I mean, unless you're really the person that will just grind that one thing out, and you must make sure that one person grinds X amount of seconds. Like, we're literally talking about X amount of seconds of grinding, which is just, no, wow.
I don't see any harm in removing it. Then again, I'm not a game developer, so you seem to have done more studying into it. I know we don't need to be, but I do like to, argument what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, my thing is just simply, what's the point of it? Just remove it. No one benefits from it, so just have a positive PR. Remove it. I don't know. But again, only thing that it adds is negative things. Both complexity and just the fiddle fucking around, really.
I kind of wonder, like, if they were to sneak it into, say they snuck this, like exactly this into the next updates. How much good would people be talking about it, or would it just be like, oh, that's neat?
Oh, it would be definitely more positive than the fucking fleet carriers. I promise you that much. Fucking fleet carriers are abominable.
Point taken, but kind of besides the point.
Well, that's the thing. Funny thing about the last beta was also, right? Everyone was, well, at least me, Exegius, and then our group, I guess, who were around when they released the fucking thing, right? We were talking about this looks like shit, or this doesn't do thing, and what's the point of it? Why does it cost too much? And right, and so on and so forth. And the only positive that we found was that there was a quick play button in our social tab without logging off the game to join CQC, and that was the only positive thing that we talked about, and that was positive, proper fucking thing, right?
That is fucking great though. Like, oh yes, finally that game mode is gonna be. Sorry, that game mode can be a bit more lively now.
Right? That's the thing, right? There was such negative, just aura, if you will, around the fucking fleet carriers that, you know, even such a small little niggle of positive stuff suddenly became just sort of the only positive thing, and the people, you know, kind of remember it as well. And engineering, again, positive things are recognized. That's the point, because let's be honest, I'm not gonna be very positive about fleet carriers as long as the fucking things have upkeep and that disgusting malicious game design. So as soon as I see something positive being in there, well, hey, I'm gonna recognize it. And guess what? That fucking little button, that goddamn little fucking button, is a good thing. See? There you go, positives. So yeah,
I know you can be positive,
well,
but
yeah,
you'll never sell out. Kinda. Why did that come out so wrong? That came out wrong.
I mean, I have done sponsored content.
That's not selling out. That's providing a living.
Some see differently though, but whatever. Look. Right, so Ranek, so let's see what we got. You want something good about fleet carriers? Here goes. In Stellaris, fleet carriers can be. Alright, we're not exactly talking about Stellaris right now. Alright, fair enough. But those would be actually more juggernauts than fleet carriers, but whatever, doesn't matter. Right, let's see. Right, so engineering.
Stellaris, great game.
Yeah, wonderful game. I actually been playing it quite a bit more in the last couple of days, yeah. Anyways, right, engineering, right, so I had a couple of other suggestions, right, so the first one was to basically add information into engineering, be that explanations about things, stats, and everything like that. The second thing, let's see, what was the second thing that I did? Oh, god damn it, I just made the video. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, I only remember like 4 of them. Out of my 8 suggestions, I only remember 4. Oh no!
Should have maybe written those down somewhere.
Well, I'll pull up my script. I still have that fucking thing. It's 1,000+ words or 10,000 fucking words. Oh god. Right.
Video sure sounded like it.
Yeah, 40 minutes. A fucking feature-length video, first of its kind. Ooh.
That was actually the thing that made it stand out to me. Like, wait. Do I see a 4 in front of that 0?
Yeah.
Let's give this a watch.
All right. So first one is to remove increase the amount of information. Yes. The second one was to increase the drop amounts. Right. So that was the drop amounts. The third suggestion I had is engineer leveling. Remove that. And Abraham, hey, thanks for subscribing there on the Twitch. I'd really appreciate it. Right, and the number 4 is to further simplify engineering, allow people to just engineer. How about this idea? This is actually an interesting idea. How about we get rid of engineered pinned upgrades or pin upgrades and allow engineering anywhere?
Okay.
So the idea is to have basically the same as pinned upgrades, but everything you would have that you had unlocked on that engineer, or well, if you unlock the engineer, in my opinion, you should have all the engineered things available, and just be allowed, including experimentals, being allowed to be applied anywhere. So you don't need to go back to their place to get experimentals or other upgrades. That is my suggestion.
So, I'm opposed.
Okay.
Well, personally, I do feel that if you want the experimentals, you should go to their physical location, because they're the engineers, like they're the galaxy specialists. If there's any if any special effects could be done on basically an industrial level at this point, like why don't we just outright buy Healy beams or force feedback? I think that's wrong, but why don't we just outright buy all the upgraded modules? If you can do that if you could do the experimentals anywhere, it would basically remove the point for there being individual engineers.
Right. Your explanation, mind you, folks, your explanation, Orange Spark, is a lore explanation.
Yes.
So basically, a gameplay explanation for the need for player to move to another system, to move to that one select zone, place, base, whatever you want to call it, right? To engineer that extra upgrade of it is to waste your time.
I mean, take for example, it's a really different game, but Elder Scrolls Online. I recently learned that there is certain crafting stations scattered around the land that if you want to craft an armor in a specific visual style, you need to be at that specific station in that specific location. Like it's, I get that this all would save time, but I mean,
right.
There,
so
usually... there can be some I would say it's a bit of a balancing act.
Right. Usually why games have these only in this one place you can do this one thing is done for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons is that you need to go and spend time going there. That is literally a more involved time gate. Essentially, that's a time gate, but that's about it. You need to just do this for a long time and just get there to be given that upgrade if you have all the materials. Second reason why games do this is to give you a vista, or rather introduce you to this amazing looking thing, right? You go to this engineer, usually it's always on the planet's surface, right? So you need to land on a planet and look at that vista, but usually those engineers reside in very ugly places, and not always they are in
more
light.
often on the dark side.
Farseer is amazingly ugly looking place. I don't understand why developers made it so ugly. You don't want to go there. Right? I think it was Heratani, or was it Celine Jean? I don't remember which one, but one of them was in a very beautiful fucking planet, which I love filming, as a matter of fact, as well, often. So yeah, there are some engineers that I honestly love to go to and remember that, with this engineer, if I go there, I also can film something or look at something really pretty. That is a good enough explanation why you should, have only that one place where engineer resides and why you should go there to upgrade your thing and get that upgrade. But when you have Farseer and that ugly looking place, there's really no reason to go there other than the fact that you need to spend time going there. And if we really need time gates, if we really want to waste players' times, how about just simply, put a time gate, in a game? Like,
let's not have a second ship transfer.
Yeah,
immersion.
Ship transfer. Module transfer. How about that? How about we utilize module transfer for engineering? Again, just calculate how much time does it take for you to get to that planet, and just instead of you going there and spending time, just send it there. The engineer does this magic thing, if you want a lore explanation, and it sends it back. And you've wasted about as much time not having that module, but instead you also could, take your time to, I don't know, go offline or, I don't know, go do something else within the game, right? While that module is being engineered. Like in Warframe, by the way, it has time walls galore. But instead of that, again, that's the thing. For me, that's the principle, right? It would... It would be a quality of life upgrade, basically for everyone. Just simply being able to engineer everything in one place, or everywhere you are, just by quote-unquote sending the thing to the engineer is the same as traveling there. But the only thing is that instead of doing what you want to do in the game, you are forced to travel to that engineer. And not always it's in pretty places. If it has a pretty place, I can kind of see an explanation why you need to travel there. But when you have farseers, whatever it was.
I mean, they have all been handcrafted.
Pretty. Hey?
Pretty is a subjective thing.
Oh, sure. But farseer is just ugly, just objectively. There you go. It's definitely objective. Yeah, it's definitely objective ugly. There you go.
Like I said earlier, I do kind of like it.
That's the issue with the so yeah, that's my suggestion. Just allow us to engineer everything anywhere,
now,
including experimentals. That's my opinion.
If we do that, engineering everything everywhere, like this is the me that kind of wants to try my hand at balancing. But if we do that, I would personally like to see it happen. Like that, you got to be at least friendly or something. Like I've spent a bit of background. I spent a lot of my time in this game working in and around like just a handful of systems. It's where I spent roughly 80% of my game time.
So basically, you're asking for additional unlock requirement before you are able to do that. Okay, as long as it's involved and interesting, I'm willing to go along with the unlock requirement for this feature.
Like you can increase your reputation with a faction in basically any gameplay methods as long as it makes you money.
It's kind of boring though, isn't it? Doing the same missions over and over again.
But you don't just need to do missions. You can trade, you can hand in combat bonds, you can drop exploration data. You can probably think of some other things, but like you get to just like
I don't know.
Like say every faction has their engineers. Like prove to them you're, and I know this is a lower explanation, but like prove to them you're worthy to do it. But
actually, that's a good gameplay explanation. I was actually thinking of the same thing, in some way. My idea here is that developers would introduce quote-unquote engineer upgrade for engineer systems as their communication system or whatever. Basically, you introduce a handmade mission chain, and that mission chain that exists in Elite, right? Basically, you would have the first mission doing, let's say, exploration. You need to achieve amount of, whatever exploration data. Second mission, you need to do trading. Third mission, you need to kill something. Fourth mission, do something else. And through that, also tell a narrative. And after 5 missions that are all different and potentially interesting, handmade, you would get ability to engineer anywhere. How about that? A side quest with a really useful quality of life upgrade? Yeah, that's what I am implying. Imagine that in Elite.
Maybe not entirely to your thinking, but
it's my idea for it.
Yeah. I'm trying to build on it. If you do that, why not have it set in categories like you want to upgrade weapons? Here, have this quest line. I don't know, core modules. Have this optionals for this subset. Oh no, this needs happening. It's more buffing. It's more, I don't know, padding out, I guess you'd say. But I feel like it needs content. If this is all handmade content, it can't really be that bad.
You'd be surprised. Star Citizen, anyone?
We're talking about a game.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, I don't really know any game that is that bad. Okay, never mind. Oh my.
I'm sure we could find something with a little bit of time.
I mean,
in
there
Google.
are plenty of asset flips on Steam's Greenlight, or was it Direct now? So, anyways, right. Moving on then from my suggestions, unless we have anything else or something. No? I take it as no. Okay, right, so 5th suggestion that I had was completely removing grade 5 and 4 upgrades. Completely. So, to explain that idea there, basically Elite Dangerous is in a massive power creep state. Healies for Feelies, the fucking, shield boosters, and basically many other things are causing Elite to become many, levels or degrees of power creep E. So essentially removing the top levels of upgrades. It's not going to remove for all of them, right? It's obviously to grade 3 is going to be the next biggest one. That's my idea there. That would basically create more... It's a lazy way to balance it and cut off the top end of the power creep. But it's also very lazy, as I said. So, I mean, that's one way to deal with it if you don't want to spend time actually going hand by hand, or rather, item by item, and just hand adjusting it properly. So, that's my suggestion, alternative. So, any comments?
I'm trying to take in what you just said, and like, how people would react. Because
removing anything from players' accounts will be met by a negativity. I mean, look at the fucking forums; it's already negative as is without the need to put in stuff.
I know.
Yeah. No, but the point is, obviously, removing anything, even when you give back an upgrade token or a compensation for something. Obviously, there will be people that will be angry. I will, probably complain about thing if it's not properly done, right? So, yeah.
You will complain about the thing if it's not properly done. No problem.
I will critique it.
Sorry.
Expect me to critique the fuck out of it, for sure. So, yeah. Right. Anyways, I guess...
Yeah, I personally don't think I'd like...
Developer. No. Today I am, or was joined first with Mini, a fellow content creator, who did a lot of engineering. Always nice to have him. I think, Dutton, you're around? He's somewhere around. Just a helper and then sometimes a guest and whatnot else and so on and so forth. Just a fellow guest and of course representing there you go. So yeah, and representing in some ways unofficially, I guess, Galactic Academy, the Orange Spark. So yeah,
I wouldn't say I'm representing anything here.
Unofficially, you're part of it. So
I mean, yeah, you saw me and were like, hey, wanna jump in? I'm like, I have nothing better to do.
No, basically, some folks that I know that, have actually maybe agreeing with me or opposing opinions and whatnot also, yeah, sort of a thing. Anyways, so yeah, removing grade 4 or 5 would be a simple and easy way to sort of reduce the power creep, but not eliminate it, so that's...
No, definitely not.
Lazy fix.
You know how bad my ships are, right? We had a few fights.
You wouldn't need to engineer them as much as well. Imagine that. It would reduce the need to grind.
But here's the thing. A few days back, I was in a friendly PvP after a little bit of mining, and the guy had a completely unengineered Corvette, but with A-graded weapons everywhere. And my little squishy crate, mopped the floor with his Corvette, and that was just grade 3 engineering.
Oh damn!
So, yeah, the power creep on many levels is just interesting and so on and so forth. So, Right. I guess that's a simple thing. Right. So number 6 for suggestions I had was to further reduce randomness. Here's an interesting one. Right. To further reduce the randomness, my suggestion was to completely remove rolling for stats. Like you would be set a specific amount of rolls that you need to do before you get the max amount of that roll. Usually for grade 1s it's just 1 roll. Anyways, very rare cases it's 2. So basically you would have just promised 1 roll, or not roll, basically you need to spend 1 roll amount of materials, and that's 1 charge and it's done. It has 100%. For grade 5 you need to spend 10 charges, so 10 times whatever amount of materials they require to pick up, and that would give you
that would be kind of nice.
Yeah, so remove rolling and introduce expected and fixed amounts of increasement. So you could still have the 25% by or 20% or what it tells by just putting in 2 charges of upgrade.
I see. So yeah. So you just have like a slider, like you can add between 0 or 5 of these materials. Here is gonna be your outcome, guaranteed.
Yeah,
and if you fill them all, it just maxes it out.
Yeah, basically, I'm gonna use the word roll, but it's not roll. What I meant is just literally just. Let's go with a roll, right? Instead of being a gradient of between 6 and 12 rolls is gonna guarantee, or 6 and 12 rolls is gonna be for grade 5 to max it out. Now you're gonna have fixed 10 rolls, and you're guaranteed to max out that roll at that grade upgrade. That is my idea.
So great.
So that's just to further iterate on the existing engineering 2.0 that they introduced. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that this would be really great because it would make things predictable. You could plan ahead, and I agree. And I have to bid my farewell because I have to run. So see you guys.
Enough.
Yes,
all right,
and
thanks for joining.
Take care.
You too.
Bye, dude. It would make things predictable, and so you could plan ahead. Like, okay, I need to get this percentage of upgrades.
Yeah, instead of getting.
I need to only go gather these materials.
Yeah, instead of getting between 5 and 12 data mined wake exception, materials, I need only 10, and you can know that's gonna be always enough.
So would that then be to roll straight into a grade from the beginning, or?
That is my suggestion there. So, or rather, that's one of my suggestions. So I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys. Again, that's one of the things that I presented in that video and so on. I'm up for more fucking predictability and fairness. That's it. I don't need more RNGs as being basically the light of my life and what else in Elite Dangerous. There's already fucking RNGs left and right. So. Yeah, the less I get of it, the better.
RNGesus, and you would be happy.
Yes. Alright, and of course the last 2 suggestions I had were alternatives. One was to completely remove engineering because of the power creep and the grind, which again I do not prefer, but honestly it would be better off than what we have right now in my opinion. Mostly because the game is so unbalanced, and I don't care how much hours I have spent in it, which is actually quite a lot. I'm willing to give up those hours as long as the game becomes more balanced. I won't be salty. Plenty of forums will be, because, well, let's be honest, forums and, nothing else, but that's beside the point. The true thing that I want to see from engineering is just pure re-examining, proper redesign. And that would come, obviously, with all the modules not being grandfathered in, because we must not have that bullshit again. We must remove every module that is upgraded. Of course, compensate players for having, engineered those things so many times and give free upgrade tokens or something, right? And introduce a new system that is fair, balanced, and probably enjoyable. That's what I want to see, and obviously there are many ways to go about it, but that's the ultimately main thing that I want to see. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely am willing to give up all my engineered modules, and I have spent 2,000 plus hours in this fucking thing, and trying to get as many engineered stuff as I can and whatnot else. So I won't be salty. At least I wouldn't be salty after, for betterment of the game, losing those things or giving them up. So yeah. Anyways. Actually, Orange Spark, are you ready to give up or would you be willing to give up your engineered modules and everything you've done in engineering?
Well, I haven't done all that much. I mean, the usual thing I do with them. The choice
is easy for you.
No, I mean, the usual thing I do with them is, get the FSD up so I can move around quicker, and... But in my eyes, the galaxy being big is part of the game.
Yeah.
Would I like to, I wouldn't like to see it go, or if it did have to go, I'd kind of like to see some experimental effects stay.
Oh,
just
sure.
For a bit of flair.
I'm not saying that existing ideas and how mechanics should work, like healing beams, should still exist. But healing beams shouldn't be so fucking OP. That's my point. Healing beams are a really good idea for co-op gameplay, right?
Oh, there goes the chieftain.
But as long as the healing beam is not out healing 6 other unengineered beams of the same size, I'll be fine.
I'm with you on that front. Like
fucking healing beams, man.
A balancing pass and some better information would only benefit, well, basically everyone. And that's something I can say from a Galactic Academy standpoint. As, when we teach players about all these things, having more information only works better for us.
Exactly. Sure, you can say that, there's plenty of information already in Elite Dangerous and it will just simply confuse people and so on and so forth. That's what... information can be used to confuse people, and that's what Star Citizen arguably does, in my opinion. See, Elite Dangerous is basically on the opposite end of the spectrum, literally revealing very little information. Sure, on some parts, I mean the old parts from back in the day when the game was released. Yeah, you have plenty of information, some missing, but not as much as you have today. Yes, they introduced Codex, which is wonderful, but it still misses a few things at the very least. Not to mention the actual functional portions that should be, in all fairness, already in the game, like, I don't know, Elite Database Market, something like that. Things like those should be in Elite. Instead of us needing to go to third-party tools, but that's a different topic altogether, right? Today we're sort of discussing a little bit about engineering, so yeah. Well,
then again, if you were to take it out, it would, you'd also lose things, like, say, the work that Mini does. Again, I am especially fond of his Viper. That goes like 1 kilometer a second.
Sure. There are a few things that would be, missed. That you can't. That today would be totally OP as fuck, and going 700. Oh wait, no, that was 921 meters a second, which is the fastest you can go with normal boosting and so on and so forth without using gravitational pulls and whatever things, right? In Elite. Yeah, those probably would be lost on some things. Healing beams definitely I wouldn't miss, even though some people really love them for some reason. I wonder why, right?
No idea.
The thing is, for the betterment of the game, I really much rather have a fair game than, you know, for a game that is selfishly mine, you know. Because this is a multiplayer game. I much rather have it a balanced and interesting experience than, and you know, everyone would have a chance to just go and do their own little sort of a take on the ship rather than having just further lances and cutters left and right basically being the standard.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. Like those ships are the standard is, I feel, is something like that's people decide a meta. You know, and if other people then choose to look up that meta and play by it, that is, I wouldn't say it's entirely fair to shove all of that onto engineering as a whole.
Oh, no. There's, of course, right, if we're talking about the balance thing and the meta things, see, engineering is just the top layer of the game, right? It's one of the top layers, and for combat, for example, right? It's the top layer of combat. But underneath that, we still have fucking missile launchers that are absolutely just OP as fuck as well, right? Pure and simple, the fact that the missile launchers, right, and seeking missiles especially, right, they just devastate anything, and, you know, be that internal or external modules, right? That's it. If you don't have shields, you're gone. Shields, the way shields work, also shouldn't exist, right? In my opinion, shields... shields, first you have the base shield, plus the booster times the base shield. Essentially, that's the calculation that you need to do, right? And depending on how many boosters you have, right? So, yeah, boosters need to be redesigned properly. Back in the day, they actually suggested something, and, you know, people started to panicking and whatnot else about the massive shields going away and whatnot else, but we have to.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so that needs to go as well. You need to examine, and I provided plenty of examples of just how insane the shields are. And remember, shields... For an HP that first of all regenerates and protects your modules from any damage, like any damage, like it or not, by all design, well, schools and whatnot else, it should be lower than the hull HP in general. Yes, it has to be there, and I like shields myself, as a matter of fact, and there's a reason, because I'm a pragmatic person. But you know. For balance purpose, it being able to just be pumped thrice as much as the base value, it's just no.
Like when you say that the shield value should be lower than the hull for the bigger ships, yeah, I do agree. But then you've got ships like the Imperial Courier, for example.
The shield tanks.
Yes. Yeah, like.
There are like some ships that are made to be shield oriented, and that is a good idea. I like that idea because, yeah, you can see, I see third lance. Okay, I will know automatically, like it or not, that ship is gonna have more shields than hull. But on the other hand, right, once you know that shield will go down, well, guess what? Underneath that, he has absolutely no health. Right? And that's the balancing act with these specific ships, or these edge line ships, or what else you want to call them, right? That's the balancing act that must be, you know, put in. And of course, if you have something like a phasing sequence, you're basically gonna kill him before the shields go down, and that's actually the way you, well, oftentimes deal with these things, especially with the current state of things. So there are things that are already designed to be balancing acts, or at least balancing mechanics within the game, but they are so far skewed towards just that OP thing because of engineering that even if they are designed to deal with it, it's just useless because it's just so much more powerful. Case in point, the way developers try to deal with shield tanks with flechette launcher is disgusting. So the story is essentially, back in the day, I don't remember, sometime beyond, right? they introduced this weapon that everyone got automatically. Oh wait, no, you could unlock through the personal narrative. I mean,
Yes.
the tech brokers, called Flechette Launcher. Now, Flechette Launcher works just like a flak launcher. It, as a matter of fact, uses exactly the same things, but damage is different. That's it, right? And the visuals. So yeah, Flechette Launcher essentially goes through shields and damages internal modules more than it damages hull. And that was developer lazy attempt at making some kind of a anti-shield weapon that anyone could have without engineering, it seemed, or piracy, because
I have no idea. I didn't bother unlocking it.
yeah, see, the problem with the flak launcher is, I don't think that they intended it, but it's actually more useful for piracy, because usually, when I at least fly with flak launcher, Flechette Launcher, I manage to kill the thrusters before I deal any noticeable damage to any other module, as a matter of fact. So that's kind of weird, but yeah, it ends up being more of a piracy weapon in reality. But even so, right, it's shitty design. And why did it come up? Huh.
I was just about to say, like, wait a second.
Yeah. Huh. I guess
Also, I saw
regardless.
Nitronic with comments enzyme missiles. I'm so
Enzyme
disappointed.
missiles,
I'm so disappointed
yes.
by those. They looked so cool on the description.
Enzyme
The
missiles
effects.
is the other half. Enzyme missiles are essentially a weapon that is meant to deal with hull tanks, mostly. But let's be honest, hull tanks are so far inferior to shield tanks. It literally is
didn't it
stupid to
used to-
not pick any shield.
Didn't it used to be somewhat the other way around for like
Yeah,
a couple
yeah,
batches?
it was before engineering. Hull tanks dominated, almost dominated when...
Wait, wasn't there also a small time during engineering? Like, I could very easily be wrong here, but I
don't
heard
remember
something.
it. I didn't play Elite when they first introduced engineering, so I don't...
In that case,
yeah.
let's disregard it.
So, but yeah, before engineering, remember, maximum shields you could have on something like a cutter was 3,000 or 2,900 something, right? But hull, you could have up to, I think it was 6,000? So clearly...
Something stupid.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously, yeah, the shields are lower, but they are regenerative, so if you are, careful or capable of dodging fire enough, you're gonna have that regenerative shield back and health back, right? And you're gonna, be able to take a bit more punches and whatnot, or be more courageous of taking them on. But, on the other hand, if you don't have shields at all, you can allow yourself to take as many hits as you can and just build your ship as strong as it possibly can and just literally tank it, right? And unfortunately, that even before engineering was still ruined by missiles. And that's what I'm talking about, layers of just unbalancedness, if you will. Engineering is the top power creep level of unbalanced portion of it, but if we're talking about the weak stuff or just the borderline baseline, right? Just broken, then well, maybe not broken, but misdesigned or whatever you want to call it, then there were some items and weapons that didn't quite gel well together with the way the game was designed, and it was too easy to sort of again get into that meta corner because something was just capable of doing something else that no other things are. Again, module sniping, if you're fighting against a hull tank, is just so easy. Unless, of course, that hull tank is not running some reinforced...
module reinforcements.
Module reinforcements before engineering, right? So yeah, missiles basically ruined it all. Because when it comes... missiles don't require skill, and they damage so fucking well. While on the other hand, the other weapon that is used for module damaging, railgun, requires a lot of skill.
Aren't they easily defended against? Like, disregarding Packhound, which takes some
Yeah, you
power
would
play
have those
narrative.
extra utility slots for point defenses as well, right? That was the defense, right? If you're running back in the day, yeah, if you didn't have shield and you ran a hull tank, you would have those utility slots for either heat sinks or point defenses.
Or there's another one that
ECMs and blah.
Yes, yeah.
No one uses ECM.
I know, I just forgot the name.
Yeah, it's a kind of a garbage thing that should be basically removed. It works just poorly. It's not as useful as point defense.
I mean, a worthless thing being there doesn't exactly take away from the experience, I'd say. Like have it be there for people who want to try it out.
Yes, right. So just like with the flow control experimental, right? Just because it has no negatives, just because it is purely positive, does not mean it is balanced according to rest of the options, and basically becomes a waste of time and a waste of effort if it's put in. That's the issue. Even though it is purely objectively positive, but not as positive as the rest of the things, it's still unbalanced. But
isn't that kind of on the side? Like
it is very common to engineering, as a matter of fact.
It's the thing you can add to whatever upgrade level, like you can slap on.
I still feel that everything should be, both the best thing and the worst thing should be balanced accordingly, and there shouldn't be much of a power gap between them. So, You know me, I just want the best thing, and then effort being put in place, and blah blah blah.
Just playing a bit of devil's advocate here myself.
Fair enough. It's actually been wonderful to have that sort of additional opinion and whatnot else. I do listen, I do respond, and,
I know.
I love seeing both negatives. Actually, I more look forward to negative comments in my videos than positives. As a matter of fact, that's the only way I tend to grow. So yeah, But no, I basically urge everyone to think along and just question things and examine them for yourself, because I can point you the right way, and I try to convince people to my opinion and my side and whatnot else, but well, hey, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to be petty or be right like me. But there you go. Actually, it's been almost 3 hours of the stream and so on and so forth. So yeah, hey guys, if you enjoyed the stream, it's been absolutely lovely to have guests on and just chatting about and whatnot else. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. But yeah, looks like this might actually come to a close. Yeah, it's 3 hours is usual stream time for me. So yeah, if you want to further discuss things, join the discords. I try to respond things and whatnot else, or watch the videos and share them around and whatnot else. So yeah, there you go.
Gotta say, it's been lovely talking to you again.
Yes,
Since stuff like LaveCon and other events won't be happening this year.
We saw each other at LaveCon, yeah.
Yeah,
last year's LaveCon, I think it was.
Yeah, and the year before that, Frontier Expo.
Yeah. Wait, no. Were you in the Fantasticon?
No, because that falls too close to Gamescom, and I go to Gamescom.
So it was last year's LaveCon, then last LaveCon before that, and then it was the Frontier Expo, right? Yeah, remember that one. Yeah, so what can I say? Yeah, it's definitely been nice, and
time sure flies.
Yeah, it's been an interesting evening. So, well, I guess I'll just close it out then. So, folks, big thanks for watching, and of course, some of you more generous souls being absolutely wonderful and all that stuff. Really. Oh, right, Nathaniel. I kind of didn't read your message there, sorry. I hope this is enough for a coffee. Thanks for putting out enjoyable content. Well, I appreciate it tremendously. Well, thank you very much for your little squeak there, which is not so little, but regardless. So yeah, What else can I say? Yeah, join the Discords and check out the links down below. Basically, other than that, I'd say follow on the Twitch, YouTube, and then what else? Share the videos, examine them, critique them if you can. I do listen to critique, even if it is "you suck, bro." Trust me, you can learn from that as well. Regardless, guys, take care and stay safe. And big thanks to Orange Spark and the rest of the guys who came today.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
All right.
It's been
Right. Well, guess that'll be it. And
that done.